wait until Christmas for that. Once again, Mark, where are you at? You're up there in the top left. I hand over my co-hosting duties to Mark Hart up there on my screen, the top left. Mark looks after all of the technical stuff. He puts all the stuff up on the web page and on Facebook on the various pages so that you can access it. And he also maintains a website, I think it's for the Orange County Callers Association, where there's links to all of these sessions, all of Dan Like and Don Beck sessions. And I believe you also have the class sessions up there too, don't you, Mark?
I have a link to their website. I don't have their videos individually on there, just a link to their website.
So there's a lot of resources available if you missed any of these sessions along the line. What we're going to be looking at is just to carry on from what we were doing last week. But the essence of what we want to do is we want to be able to get the most out of the practice sessions that we do. I've had a lot of callers send me a lot of material. This is what I'm preparing for. Some of them are strings of up to 15, 20 modules long, saying, what do you think about this for dancing? And that's not the purpose of preparing modules. If you're going to prepare in that kind of an aspect, what you're going to end up doing is confusing yourself, because what you're doing is you're way, way, way over the top. There's no way that you could remember what it is you're wanting to achieve. So we're carrying on with this, and this is making the most of your preparations. Now, many callers are going to tell you, and correctly so, that when you're preparing a tip or a bracket, as we call it here in Australia, it's always best to have an idea in your mind that you're going to focus on. So usually that's either a movement, or if it's a theme dance like pirates, so you're going to do all pirate movements, you want movements like past the ocean or something along that line. Even the best callers that seemingly get up there and they spontaneously make it up all on their head on the spot, they generally have a focus or a specific movement that they want to focus on for that tip or that bracket, because it ties the whole sequences together. It's easier for the dancers to relate. It's easier for the caller to relate. And if you don't have that, the meaning behind that tip or that bracket just gets lost in this blur of movements. For new callers, it's often a difficult thing to do because your immediate repertoire is quite limited. I'm going to tell you right now that because you have a limited repertoire, that's actually an advantage to new callers. Get up there. Okay. Most new callers, when they begin, only have the foundations of understanding the definitions, very simple formation management. That's a box, that's a line, that's a wave, that's a double pass through, that's a completed double pass through, and that's about it. Most new callers know the 5 foundation modules, the 2 0 modules, the 2 conversion modules, yep, and the chicken plucker. And most new callers have a very simple resolution technique, just one very simple resolution technique as a spare tire, as a safety, if you ever do get into trouble and you do need just to get out of trouble, and you hope you never have to use it. That's usually what most new callers have. And then there's a heavy reliance on prepared modules and equivalents. And we often see callers preparing entire binders of material in preparation for a single tip. So I'm going to ask Roz to come to my club, and I'm going to say, Roz, would you like to call a tip? And Roz is going to say, oh yeah, I'd love to call a tip. And she goes home and she works furiously and she rewrites the Encyclopedia Britannica filled up with material preparing for this tip. Please stop doing that. Stop over preparing. You do not need to do that. You need to prepare, you need to practice, but you do not need to over prepare. All of that will come in time. And if you do it in a staged, gradual learning way, you're going to find that the repertoire is going to build in your head and stick, and you'll lose that reliance on reading the material, and you'll get into that calling the material that you know and you understand that you wrote and that you can use magically. And then everybody will be looking at you saying, wow, how did they get up there and just spontaneously call like that? Because you've done the work. So while preparing in technical study is not a waste of time, I want to stress it, it's not a waste of time doing that. It is something that can easily overburden and complicate a simple preparation for a tip with too much information. Writing material and learning all these techniques and fundamentals and taking the homework down is not wasted. It is wasted if that's what you're going to do to prepare for a tip. because what you want to do is you want to keep your preparation focused. You pick a single movement or a theme and you prepare around it. You find a singing call that fits your theme and you use it. So what I'm going to do in this session, I'm going to walk you through a process that's worked well for me when I was starting out. Okay, and it actually is a simple process. And as you see underneath my little calling bear here, you understand the definition, you understand the movement mechanics, you understand basic formation management. You have a simple resolution in the background. You have basic site calling if you want to use it, if you're comfortable with it, but you don't have to. The two things that are key are these flow mechanics in the modules. In other words, does it progress smoothly and do your modules work on the theme? And that's what we're looking at. Okay, so as per my example, I chose the movement past the ocean. Okay, that's going to be my focus movement. So if I was preparing for the tip, I find a singing call that uses that movement. Okay, one singing call. I might prepare 2 figures, but I'll have one singing call that I'm going to use for the tip. And I'm going to practice that. And I'm going to practice that with a couple of different songs, maybe 2, maybe 3, because who knows, I get there and, you know, Roz has prepared a tip and I suddenly use the record that she was preparing. She's got a spare, but she's still got that same figure and she's practiced it and she's timed it and it works. So the one I'm using is head square through, swing through, boys trade, boys run, bend the line, right and left through, pass the ocean, scoot back, swing and promenade. Okay, it's got that scoot back near the end. I can leave it or use it, you know, just depending on how the dance is. I practiced it, I practiced it, I practiced it, I've got it. Now I put it away. Okay, I have a theme and my theme is past the ocean. Now it's time to prepare my modules. Now, when you prepare modules, you've got to remember that you're preparing for 2, the dancing audience and you're preparing for yourself. You have to keep both of those in mind when you're preparing, because you need to know if Roz is coming to my club and she doesn't know my dancers, well, she's got to take that into account. She has no idea of their capability. She's got no idea how they're going to respond to her voice and how it's going to. So she's not going to prepare, wow, high level technical material. However, if you're preparing for a tip at a club that you dance regularly at and you may call regularly at as a guest caller, well, you know their capabilities a little better. So you can build that into your choreography. And one thing that you also have to take into account is what is going to be the trust factor of those dancers in you. So those are things that you have to consider with the dancing audience. And there's a whole bunch of others that go into a presentation. But you also prepare for yourself. When you do your modules, can your modules flow one to the next to the next? Or is there something in them that you have to be aware of on each module? Does your module start with a right and left through or a veer left? Because if it does, you need to have a flow factor before that. Those kinds of things. If it starts with a left hand, such as if your module starts with left swing through, you have to be aware that you have to have a left hand free. Or are they just set up simply so that they can flow one to the next to the next? You also have to consider, are your modules for the dancers or are they for you? If you're writing modules that are technically correct or difficult, or they're correct because you put them to terminations, but you haven't really judged the difficult levels, then you're writing for yourself, or worse, you're writing to impress another caller or the person that asked you to call rather than the dancers. Okay, and when you do that, your modules can get repetitive and they can get redundant. They, you know, you want to keep your modules simple, you want to keep them danceable, you want to keep them interesting, and you want them to flow well. Guido, you had your hand up. Guido?
Yes, I'm here.
I got a little icon here said you raised your hand. Did you want to say something?
No, I took a wrong move of the mouse.
Oh, okay, no worries. Okay, so when you prepared your singing call, now it's time to prepare your practical cue sheet. So what you're going to do is you're going to make yourself up some modules. You only need 4, but I've got 6 here. The 6 most common are a corner box to corner box module, a partner line to partner line module. Those are 2 zeros. You need a corner box to a partner line conversion and a partner line to a corner box conversion. and you need a corner box resolve and a partner line resolve. With those simple modules, you have more material than you can possibly use in a tip, because you've got your 5 foundation modules and you're going to mix and match. You don't want big, long, exorbitant, stretchy, fancy modules. You want something nice and simple that you're going to be able to look at and practice. Okay? And that is all you need. You might write 2 or 3 of each of these, but pick one that goes with your theme, put it on your practical cue sheet, and then put all the rest of it away, because that's all you're going to need to practice. Once you've checked them and you make sure they work, everything is going to work well for you. So here's the hard part, okay? When you're getting ready to practice, go back and practice your 5 foundation modules as well. Make sure that they're there, because you're going to use these with the modules you're preparing. These are what create flows and sequences and changes in your dancing choreography. You don't have to use them, but you'll find a lot of callers will use these the same as they'll use a half chicken plucker or a variation of a half chicken plucker to get the dancers on the other side and do another box module and then a half chicken plucker to bring them back. It creates flows, it creates breaks that you already know that you can move the dancers around. When I was learning to call, one of my favorites when I was learning to sight resolve was getting them into lines and using pass through, wheel and deal, double pass through, first couple left, next couple right. The reason was the dancers are moving, they've got good flow, they've got good formation management, good sequencing, but they don't change partners. It allows me to see who's dancing with who, because I know they're going to get back where they started. And that way I can say, okay, where is this person? Where is that person? And how do I start matching them up? There's reasons for all of these modules. So make sure you learn them. Make sure you get these committed to memory, because you will use these for the rest of your calling career. I guarantee it. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're ready to start practicing. You prepare your 5 foundation modules. You practice in big circle opening. Oops, wrong slide. You practice a big circle opening. Yes, practice your opening. Join hands, circle left. Men, star by the right. Find your corner. Alaman left your corner. Do the right and left grand. Whatever. Practice your opening, because it's important that the dancers get used to your voice and your style. A lot of callers, especially new ones, overlook practicing that opening sequence. Practice a number of them. Start by calling a get-in, okay? Your get-in could be a head square through, or it could be a heads right and left through, sides past the ocean, extend to get to that corner box. Whatever you want to get to that corner box, practice it as part of your calling. Then you want to mix and match your modules in 3 or 4 blocks. 3 or 4 blocks only. Don't use any more than that, because then your sequences get too long. Include your foundation modules, not just your preparation modules. As I said, that gives a different feel. Use your chicken plucker module to dance with other and different people. Vary your get-ins from sides to heads and heads to sides. Do a get into a corner box, do a get into a partner line. And most importantly, practice, 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 and more practice. The magic of using this system when you're starting out is you are going to run out of music long before you run out of material. Okay, so I created a practical cue sheet. Okay, and as you see, the movement that I've got for this is past the ocean. That's my theme. So I've got a past the ocean in every one of those. On my partner line resolve, I've got 2 very quick resolve to right and left brands. The hardest one in there is a past the ocean, a half sachet past the ocean leading to a right and left brand. That's the only difficult thing in any of those modules. I've taken all the rest, I've put them aside. I no longer want to use any of the other material. I'm going to focus only on my practical cue sheets and my 5 foundation modules to do my practice with. Okay, and you need to practice your sequences. So when you're there, you've got your cue sheet up on your screen or on a sheet of paper on there. You practice. You do not practice writing, okay, I'm going to write this sequence down and it's 400 movements long, And it's going to be module 1, module 2, a chicken plucker, module 1, module 2, a half chicken plucker back, conversion to partner line, and then you call it all out. You put the cue sheet down and you start with a get in, head square through. I've done a get in. Then it's corner box to corner box module, partner line to partner line, or corner box to partner line, circle left. And that's the way I practice. I don't memorize them. I practice them with a quick glance, and then I move on to the next sequence. I'll end each one with an Alaman left and a right and left grand, or a right and left grand, or an Alaman left and promenade home. Whatever it is I'm going to end with it, each modular sequence will have a start and it'll have a finish. And they will be identifiable not only to the dancers, but to you. I very, 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 and if you didn't get that, very strongly recommend for new callers, do not make your modules all resolve to home. In fact, I recommend not using resolve to home modules when you're starting out. And the reason is you're not giving yourself any time to think. You're not giving yourself any time to breathe and refocus. If you do have a problem with the dancers, by the time you regroup, they're going to be standing at home for a lot of time. If you use an Alaman left, right, and left grand to home, that's fine. If you use a right and left grand and promenade halfway, that's fine too. If you use an Alaman left and a right and left grand, and then you promenade with a full promenade, that's fine too. The dancers are not going to worry about that. They're dancing. It gives you time, but it also tells them that's the end of one sequence. We're ready to start again. And it's just like hitting a reset on a computer. Everything seems to work better when you restart your computer because all that bad memory is gone. All the good memory and all the stuff you worked on so hard is saved. It's just like that when you're calling. So I've created 3 little sequences here. That's it. The number in red in these brackets, that's a foundation module. So if I look at sequence 1 and get into a corner box, it could be head square through or anything. Then I used a half chicken plucker. I went right from the corner box over to the right-hand box, our right-hand lady box. Then I did my corner box to corner box module because it's a 0. It's not going to change anything. I did the half chicken plucker back and a resolve. I only used one of my foundation modules. The second sequence, I got into a partner line, heads lead right, circle to the line, partner line to partner line, corner box. I did a 0 box standard. That's the pass-through wheel and deal module, one of my foundations. I did a corner box to a partner line module, and I ended with a circle left, and I did a circle routine. That's great. I've now used 1, 2, 3, 4 of my modules. The third, I did a get in, corner box to partner line. I've already used that one. I did a partner line to corner box. I've already used that one. I did a chicken plucker, a corner box to corner box. Oh, I've only used 3 of my modules, the 6 modules that I prepared in that tip. There's those 3 sequences. That's an entire tip right there. I prepared 6 modules, but I actually only used 3 of them, 4 of them. Here's a little hint. If you practice mixing and matching your modules and you're aware of what you're actually going to call, try and shoot for only about a 4-minute pattern. I don't like longer patterns because I find it tires the dancers more easily, but that's my choice. A lot of people now are into 6 and 7-minute patterns. I don't like them. I'd rather do a 4-minute pattern and a singing call, give the dancers a break. They get more dancing, they get more variety. It's easier to reset, and it's a lot more fun, and the dancers don't get tired. When you do that with an opener, you're only going to get 3, maybe 4 sequences of the music. When you do your practice, I have a maximum of 2 hours of practice. Anybody that sings will tell you that your voice is a muscle and it needs exercise. When you are starting out, do not try and practice for 2 hours at a time. Try not to do more than 1 hour at a time, which includes practicing at least once your singing call. Leave about 8 minutes at the end of each hour to do your singing call and then take a break. That way, when you finally get up and call your tip, you can deliver all the sequences of 3 to 4 module sequences without reading them. You just refresh at a glance to your sheet, and you've got your singing call practiced, and it all flows together, no matter what order you put them in. In a practical application, I chose 3 sequences of 4 module each because the average length of those sequences is the average length of a pattern record or a pattern piece of music, which is about 4 minutes. Those sequences that I showed you come to 412 beats of music. I add an average opener or a circle movement for the dancers. That takes about 48 beats of music. In 4 minutes of music, there are about 448 to 500 beats. That's it. That's 3 minutes and 50 seconds to 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay. 3 4-module sequences is a full patter record. You're going to run out of music long before it. So if you practice well, you are going to deliver well. Okay. So this is just an example sequence. This is actually quite a long sequence. Okay, but heads past the ocean, center girls trade, centers recycle, and centers pass through. That's a get into a corner box. I could have easily said square through. Half a chicken plucker, square through 3, trade by. My corner box module, slide through, pass the ocean, circulate, right and left through, pass through, trade by. And now I'm going to do a half chicken plucker to get back. I use a different chicken plucker, right and left through, veer left Ferris wheel, center, star through, slide through, pass through. Instead of square through 3, just a little bit of variety, you know, but it's still right and left through, veer left Ferris wheel, center, square through 3. Then I'm going to do a corner box resolve. Touch a quarter, scoot back, boys run, reverse flutter, pass the ocean, recycle. There's my corner box. Alaman left, right, and left grand promenade home. That's 1 module, chicken plucker, foundation module, 1 of my prepared modules, and a 2nd of my prepared modules. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that as a sequence. You do not have to use every single module in every single tip. In fact, it's better not to. Okay. Now, we're going to have a quick look at that in the taminations. So, sorry, Alt-Tab. It should take me to, and tamination seems to have closed on it. So let's close that. Let's open that. And bear with me. Can you guys see my taminations up there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, at least that part's working. Okay. So if we paste that into taminations, and it takes forever in a week. And I'm just going to move it on fast. It is on fast, so we don't have to look at it the whole way through and take. What's going on? That's only 150. What the heck? I don't know what's going on here, but it's not working. Anyway, so if we look at that, and we'll just go through it. Module, spin the top. Module, that's a foundation module. Chicken plucker, foundation module. A module that I wrote. A chicken plucker. And a resolution, right and left grand, promenade home. That's got a 3/4 promenade on it. Okay, that's 156 beats of music. I've already done an opener. I've only got 440 to 500 beats, 448 to 500 beats of music. Just with that opener, I've used almost 1/3 of a patter record. The dancers are dancing, it's quite usable. So I think you get the idea of what I was saying there. You'll find that most callers, especially the real experienced ones, they will have a series of modules prepared. It could be in their head, they may have them all memorized, they've got themes. The more you do, and the more you do with simple preparation, tip by tip by tip, the easier they will be for you to remember, because you're remembering 5 things focused on a single theme. Next time you get that theme, those 5 things are going to come back to you, the same as your foundation will come back to you. If you prepare and practice 200 different modules, you're going to overwhelm yourself and you're not going to remember anything. So don't waste your time preparing a tip by doing 2,000 modules and 500 pages of equivalence and 600 get-its. Pick one and use it well, and practice it. Hi, Mike. You don't have to be sorry at all. I just saw your note there. Now, is there anything in the chat? No. So there's no questions in the chat. That's it for the review. Now, does anybody have any questions before we start looking? Comments, queries, points? No?
Only just one little one on the notes that came out, Mel. Just I know obviously know what CB is and the PL, but you've got RBO and PLOS. I'm not quite sure what they actually meant. I know you said
RBO is and I was actually corrected on this very recently. I used to write RLB. So if I do head square through, I'm in a corner box. Okay, if I do a half a chicken plucker, I'm in a right-hand lady box. The proper abbreviation for a right-hand lady box is RBO, which is right-hand box out of sequence. That's the proper Color Lab definition. I used to use RLB, right-hand lady box, but it's actually RBO. Now, one of the things that
with those relationship boxes, to me, it makes sense to say right-hand lady box out of sequence or right-hand lady box. And there's a differentiation between the two.
The whole point, and it's a very valid point, an excellent comment. If I say heads square through box, does everybody understand what I'm saying? If I say a line, heads lead to the right, circle to a line, does everybody understand what I'm saying? If I say zero line, does everybody understand what I'm saying? If I say zero box, does everybody understand what I'm saying? If I say a box 1-4, does everybody understand what I'm saying? If I say a corner box, does everybody understand what I'm saying? So the further we go, different people learn different things. When I started, a zero box was a corner box, but a zero box has a different connotation. What those references are a standard set of acronyms, and they are used for one reason and one reason only, so that callers can talk to other callers without having to say, if I do heads promenade halfway down the middle past the ocean extend, okay, I'm in an ocean wave and everybody has their corner. You can understand where they are. But if I say a corner box step to a wave, I'm in the same spot. Well, now you understand exactly what I'm talking about. They are there only for callers to talk to other callers so that you can say, right, I'm in an RBO or I'm in a right-hand lady box, and you don't have to walk them through the whole process. It just shortcuts the understanding. The reality is, if you're comfortable with RBO, or if you're comfortable with right-hand lady box, or if you're comfortable with half chicken plucker box, and the caller that you're talking to understands you, don't worry about it. It's like I said with all these formations, there's 92 formations. Most of them are defined in Mel's Dictionary of Formation Management as who cares? Because about 60% of them are transition formations, and you don't stay there. So I don't work from those formations. They're just a reference for callers to talk to other callers to better understand what's going on. So that's what they are. But if there is a question like that, Malcolm, I'm glad you asked. If there is a question like that, by all means ask it, because the whole purpose of doing this is so that callers can understand what other callers are saying to them. And please, as a new caller, ask questions. If you don't understand, ask the question. Don't just nod your head and say, oh, well, he knows what he's talking about, I better not say anything, because everybody else seems to understand.
So
I've been there.
So what you said is perfectly, I agree with what you said there. The only thing I kind of shy away from is if we're using language that doesn't make any logical sense and it just confuses the issue, then why should we use that language?
We're using that language because Color Lab came up with a set of standard abbreviations to use. They are used around the world and they are the standard. It
There's
does
no
not make-
standard.
hang on.
Basically, if you have a right-hand lady box out of sequence, that is not the same as a right-hand lady box.
That
A
is
corner
correct.
box is not the same as a corner box out of sequence.
That
So
is
if you're going to
correct.
use the
A corner-
terminology out of sequence or in sequence,
Mike, I'm not, this is what Color Lab put out there. It's just, if we look at the United States as an example, and the people that sat down to abbreviate all the states, they said, right, we're going to start with Alabama, AL. Great. And then we're going to go with, I don't know what's next, Arkansas.
I get it. I
AR.
understand what you're saying.
And eventually you ran out and somebody had to make a decision. That's the decision they made. The logic of it is getting refined. It's like a good example. We no longer have the definitions for movements. If you look at the Color Lab definitions, there are no definitions. There's a dance action because that's a better explanation than the definition because the definition is fixed. There's all sorts of things and these evolve, but right now, those are the standards. So CB is corner box and it's defined as head square through. That's the box you're in. RBO is right-hand box out of sequence. That's what it's defined as. Or it's a right-hand lady box. RLB makes sense, but it can be, if I circle it half, it's still an RLB. And you are
So
absolutely
explain
correct.
to me what the difference is between head squared through 2 from a squared set, head squared through 4 from a squared set, plus pass through trade by,
Head square through 4 from a squared set.
plus pass through and trade by.
Yeah, you're in a right-hand box, but you're in sequence.
Okay, so what's the difference between that phasor and the phasor that you have when you say head square through 2?
One is a right-hand box out of sequence, which is why the definition is now no longer RLB, it's RBO. It's just right-hand box out of sequence. But this is it's an excellent discussion, but this is not the place for that discussion, but we'll get to that at the end if you want, once we get done with the practice.
Okay.
They are very valid points, however. One comment that came up, explain what a foundation module is and how important it is. These are absolutely key basics for new callers. In my way of thinking, there's the 5 foundation modules. That's the corner box to corner box 0 module, which is just a flow module to keep the dancers moving in the corner box. And it allows you as a caller to see who's where. And that just moves the dancers around. It allows you to take a break as a caller. It allows the dancers to keep dancing and flow while you're setting up. It also allows you the ability to set up into something. So for example, from a corner box, swing through, boys run, Ferris wheel, centers pass through. I've now, instead of if I had a right hand free or something, and now I've got both hands free, I can use that to set up. If I need to change from a corner box to a partner line, I can do swing through, girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, bend the line. There's, that's one of Bill Peters' magic modules. That is Bill Peters' magic module. But it's a nice, easy flowing transition that's not going to change relationships so much that it's going to create different sequences and things that I have to worry about. It is also nice that if you are a site caller, it's a nice module for transiting from one set, from a box to a line. And you don't have to worry about where it is because I'm going to go from a box to a line. It's a foundation module is a module, if we go back, is a module or a sequence of movements or a movement that is done to achieve a specific purpose. If we're using corner box, it goes to partner line. If we're using partner box, it goes to a line. If we're going to a right-hand box, it goes to a line. If I've got a partner line, it'll take me to a corner box. But if I've got any line, it's going to take me to a box. If I do touch a quarter, all 8 circulate, boys run, or touch a quarter, all 8 circulate, girls run, as long as I've got standard boy-girl combinations, I'm going to end up in that kind of a box. I'm going to go from a line to a box. They're transition movements that take me from one point to another. The chicken plucker is a very important foundation module because it moves me from one side of the square to interact with the other side of the square where I can repeat a sequence, but it will feel completely different. And the other thing, if you noticed on my first sequence there, I had one of my modules. I had a get in, I had a corner box to a corner box. I did a half chicken plucker. I did a corner box to a corner box. I did a half chicken plucker back out to an Alaman left. Oh, you just put the comment down that I was going to say there, Mike. I use a lot of these foundation modules at the beginning or simple variations of the foundation modules because I know they work and it's going to allow the dancers to hear my voice and adapt to what I'm going to say successfully. It's going to allow them to dance and complete successfully and gain confidence on the floor with me and gain confidence on the floor with me calling to them. And that's why they're important, because right at the beginning, there's something that you know will work 100%. They're tried and true. Anyone else have a comment, question? Mike, did you want to elaborate on your comment? Mike Sikorsky? You're muted.
There, I finally figured out how to unmute myself. Okay, I just wanted you to explain, you did very well, how important they are, because I still use them. I'm of the firm opinion, I teach this, that if you want to have a great dance, that's so great that they can't wait to get back to your next one, you got to have them in the palm of your hand in the first 2 minutes, or you're facing an uphill battle all night long. And in order to do that, you have to have modules, sequences that you know where they are, so you can glance all over the floor and make sure everybody is succeeding. And when you challenge them a little bit, you'll know who had a problem, who didn't. You'll know when to not do another module just to get out. And you start to get a feel for them. They start to get a feel for you. Those foundation modules come in very important in that first 2 minutes of a dance. That's what I wanted to express.
Absolutely. Just looking at one thing here. Now, does anybody else have any comments or questions that they wanted to ask before we start looking at individual pieces of choreography?
I just want to add in that writing modules or doing something with a theme is basically a never-ending process. We were just getting ready for Thanksgiving here in the States, and I was getting out the good silver, and my husband was getting out the good silver, and he says, here's a container of callers, angel, or caller, checkers, and a plus sequence. Somewhere that plus sequence got stuck in with the silver, and now I finished it, and I have a different module for that plus sequence. But I have notes all over the house that have parts of sequences where I had an idea. And if you get an idea, jot it down, and you can work it into a module later. If you think you remember it, you won't.
I can tell you right now, well, Jeff can tell you, and a few other callers that I've danced with, they can tell you right off the top of the head. I usually go to a dance and I have a notebook in my pocket, just a small notebook. I'm absolutely notorious because I get lots of great ideas. They may not be my great ideas, but I get lots of them. And they go in and they get developed. You will never know where you come up with something. And all of that preparation, one new caller has recently been trying to build a complete database of equivalents for all of the movements so that you can pick and choose from. An excellent idea. And that is something that is not going to go to waste. When you're preparing for a tip, though, you want to make sure that you put that aside. You may use one or two, but put it aside because you want your focus to be on what you're going to practice and you're going to prepare. And if you're going to call an evening dance, when I call an evening dance, I have done this for 10 tips. I usually get about 10 brackets in a night because I only do a 4-minute pattern and a 4-minute singing call. I will do this for every single tip. Prepare it and practice. I may not even use them anymore, or I may even use them without being aware of it, but I still go through this process of what I want to do. I still have the modules up on the screen. I may not see them. I still have the singing call related to those modules, and I mix and match. All right. If there's no other comments, and Mike, I've been thinking about what you said, Mike Hayworth, sorry. I've been thinking what you're saying. I think personally that is a great topic for an entire session when we're talking about square dance language and talking to other callers. I'd like to have a yarn with you afterwards and just get together and talk about the use of the language and why it is the way it is, because that could be an interesting presentation, especially for new callers.
Sure, anytime.
Have we got a volunteer? One of our new callers, Helen. Okay, so I'm going to put Taminations back up on the screen. So
I'm not quite sure what I was meant to do, but I've made a sheet and I've made get-ins and some corner box, partner line, and that kind of thing, and all these different modules. And I've got Past the Ocean as my focus,
Okay.
so I've sort of got Past the Ocean several times in each of these. Maybe at a dance it would be too much, and as you said, I wouldn't be using them. All of them, I'd have to put some things in between, but I've prepared them anyway. Yeah, so.
Okay, so I've just written your first sequence here. And your first sequence is get into a corner box to corner box, corner box to partner line foundation module, partner line resolve.
Okay. Now I've made this difficult for myself by the plan was only using the calls in the Caller Lab list before Past the Ocean. So that
Okay.
means, but I've seen I made a mistake because I've used Flutter Wheel, and Flutter Wheel you don't have when you teach Past the Ocean. But anyway, I'll
Okay, so what's your
we'll
get
see
into
what
a corner box?
Heads promenade halfway, Past the Ocean and extend. Swing through.
Hang on. So now we're into a corner box to a corner. Did everybody see that's a corner box in an ocean wave? Yes, good. Okay. So now we're going to do a corner box to a corner box module. She's calling, the dancers are doing that. She had a quick glance at her paper on the promenade half. I'm going to follow this with a corner box to corner box module. She quickly glances at her sheet and she's ready to keep calling. She finishes it and you call corner box to corner box. Go.
Yeah, okay. Swing through.
Yep.
Boys run. Chain down the line. Past the Ocean. Swing through.
Everybody see that's back to a corner box module? Corner box ocean wave?
Oh, I didn't see that. I got to add that later.
Oh, is there more to it?
Yeah, there's lots more to it. but we'll skip it there. We can skip it.
No. I want what you did.
Okay. So after my Past the Ocean, I did swing through twice actually.
Yep.
Girls run. Bend the line. Past the Ocean. Now they're half sashayed. I thought that would be good practice for them. They're half sashayed and they're going to do a Past the Ocean. Boys run. Bend the line and start through, and they should be back where they belong.
Yeah,
Are
you're
they?
across.
They're not back where they belong. Why is that?
You missed a right and left through in there somewhere.
I missed the right and left through there somewhere, yeah. Okay. After the bend the line. Okay. Now they're in their corner box. Yeah, okay. So now
Okay,
you want
you want a foundation module to change that to a partner line.
Okay. Okay, well that will start through. Well, this is not a foundation box. I don't have a touch a quarter, so I can't do the usual thing. I can't do that, so I make something up myself.
Swing through.
Okay, you did something for me there. Okay. Okay, that's fine. And bend the line, I suppose. Okay. So now I'm in a partner line.
Now you're in a partner line, so I want your partner line resolution.
Okay. Right and left through. Ladies chain. Half sachet. But this is a long one. Past the ocean. All 8 circulate. Extend. Center swing through.
Centers swing through?
No, first you're going to extend, I think. Wait a minute, how far have you got?
We've just done past the ocean, all 8 circulate.
Okay, yeah, then, yeah, extend. You'll get some kind of a tagline, won't you? Yeah, center swing through. Swing your partner, promenade home.
Undo that.
They won't let me do that, but they were okay.
Okay, so you've got the side ladies, the sides do not have their partner.
No, but if you do a swing through, they will have their partner.
There's a swing through in there, sorry.
Yeah, there's center swing through.
I missed that.
Oh, sorry, center swing through. And then everyone's got their partner nearby. And I think you can swing your partner if you're in a mini wave, and you can swing, and can't you? I mean, that's okay. To say swing your partner from here. Yeah.
That's why I had the boys turn around so they'd be in the mini wave.
Okay.
Okay.
But can you not say swing your partner if they're looking
Absolutely
out?
You can. I just did that so for terminations.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so what we've got, if we put that in normal speed, look at the flow and the transition between these modules here. So if you see where the extend, I end up in a right-hand wave, and my module starts with a swing through, which is in a right-hand wave perfectly. She didn't see it, but that in itself is a corner box to corner box module. This is also a corner box to a corner box module. So you put 2 modules together.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that later. Yeah.
Okay, but swing through twice, girls run. She's also playing with half sashayed past the oceans and everything else. Swing through, girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, bend the line. That's one of your foundation modules. And then a partner line get out. Right and left through, ladies chain, half sachet, another past the ocean, half sashayed. Circulate, extend, the head boys turn back is just me correcting it so that they can do a swing and promenade. Center swing through, everybody swing your partner and promenade home. She's got a good start. She's got a good finish. In my opinion, there seems to be really good flow. There's no real contrary dancing. There's nothing like a run into the middle and then bend back out. It seems to flow. So let's have a look at the flows of these. So heads promenade halfway, past the ocean, extend, a standard get in, good variation. Swing through, boys run, chain down the line. I've changed the aspect. So I have facing lines instead of boxes, and back to my ocean wave. Corner box module. I'm now going to introduce my theme from a half sashayed position. I've already used it normally, past the ocean, half sashayed. Boys run immediately out of it to standardized couples and to bend the line. Right and left through. Now I've got a direction change. Good. Star through. A foundation module to keep the dancers moving and to change it to a partner line. Right, I'm good. I want to get out of there now. Partner line get out. Right and left through, ladies chain, half sachet here. boom, past the ocean, again with my focus, the half sashayed past the ocean. Extend, unusual position, but center swing through and everybody swing. And promenade home. From parallel ocean waves, extend to a 3/4 tag formation and centers of the wave swing through, everybody swing. What I really, really like about that is she didn't go off on a tangent doing stuff from the 3/4 tag and all that. It was a simple center swing through, they can do it, and everybody swing your partner. It's set up, everybody has their partner. She's introduced an unusual formation, and then it's there, you can see it, you can feel it. There's just that little pause for the outsides, and now you're swinging promenade. Oh, wow, that was weird, but I was there. I was where I was supposed to be. Great, I feel great about myself. That flowed very well. She introduced the half sashayed past the ocean, and immediately in both cases got out of it to normalize the dancers so they could do the movement, then they could get back to something that they're really comfortable with and move on to something that they know. The other thing that I really want to point out is Helen is calling for a new dancer group. She's a new caller, and she only used movements in the list up to past the ocean. There's no other mainstream. It's very, very simple, basic, very simple calling. This is pretty standard, normal dancing. This is, to me, in my opinion, excellent work.
Thank you. Do you think you could copy and in the comments so I can take it down, because you made some adjustments to it? I want to use all the stuff. I've been working hard here, so I want to use it when we start dancing again.
Yeah, I just got to find out where the chat window is when you're in.
Well, maybe you can't do it while you're in.
You're supposed to. There it is.
Mel, can I jump in for a minute?
Absolutely.
I think Helen wrote some really nice choreography here. When I know that when I'm writing modules and they teach other people to do it, I make a distinction between a corner box and a corner box wave, because you don't want to link modules together and have them not work. For instance, when you pay heads, let's take a squared set. Mel, you want to do this for me? Have the heads do a right and left through. Which was the promenade half, then past the ocean. Extend. Now, you really should not call touch a quarter from here, for instance. You should call hinge. So you want to make sure you call the correct thing. So, Mel, let's take them back to a squared set.
That's the easy one.
Yeah. Have the heads pair off, which is the same as a square through or promenade half. Down the middle and star through and pass through, and they're not in a wave, they're in a box. Now, for instance, you would not want to connect this to a module that starts with recycle, because you can't do it from here. You have to be in a wave. So I make the distinction of does this get in? Is this to get into a corner box or get into a corner box wave? That's the distinction I wanted to make.
Absolutely. The connection and the placement of the dancers. For instance, a swing through can be done from a corner box facing couples or a corner box that's already in an ocean wave. A right and left through can also be done that way if your dancers are comfortable dancing right and left through an ocean wave. But as Mike rightfully pointed out, a hinge and a touch a quarter essentially do the same thing. But you can call a touch a quarter from facing couples. You cannot call a hinge. You can call a hinge from an ocean wave, but not from facing couples. When you do your modules, you want to look at things like that. You also want to look at what comes before the modules and what ends the module. For instance, if you have a module starting with swing through and you end the previous module with right and left through, That's not always comfortable for the dancers because the hand's in the middle of her back and they have to bring the hand out and bring it up to the ocean wave. So if you're aware where you are at the start of your module, what hand do you need free? Where you are at the end of the module, what hand is free? You'll find you'll have much better flow. Helen, I really like the flow in what you had because your modules worked one to the next, and relatively seamlessly.
Did we discuss super secret subtlety stuff here or just pass on?
We have not, but go ahead.
In the module you had in the one that you just posted, the swing through boys run chain down the line.
Okay, Helen's module, yeah.
I personally don't call that combination anymore. The way that it's danced in the US, when the boys get a run from the center of the ocean wave, they do not actually run in a nice arc. They push the girls off the plane and the girls have to sort of back up to reconnect their hands in the center. So it does not flow well for the girls. It's any kind of boys run and then the girls trade type of deal in the US just doesn't work well. I don't know how you dance it in Australia.
Okay, I can tell you this, Mike, when you say in the US, that's not consistent throughout the US. It would be the same as, for instance, when I go to New England, they do not like doing box the mat because some clubs dance their ocean waves with a forearm grip.
Right.
That's a local styling. Boys run chain down the line, boys pushing off the plane and whatnot. That's actually really, really good flow. Calling a boys run, the ladies slide to get a chain down the line is no different than the flow for a boys run, ladies hinge, or boys run half tag. If you're finding just the initial concept of the flow, if they're pushing off the plane, that's not a problem with the choreography. That's a problem with the dancers that have had a habit that's been allowed to develop over time. That is a really, really bad dancing habit. And that
right. So the reality is, it doesn't feel good for some of the gals out there on the floors that I call for.
Yep.
Now it doesn't mean that it's bad in terms of the mechanical part of the flow.
Yeah.
I can just say that in Sweden, I think we do it the correct way because personally, when I'm dancing, I think it's not called that often, and it's kind of a surprise, and I think it's fun to do. So.
Well, Shauna Carey beat me up on this a couple of years ago, and then I danced it, and she was right. It just doesn't.
I don't see it because it's a lateral movement. The problem is in most places, a lot of people don't stress, and a lot of callers don't stress the fact that almost every movement that you have in square dancing starts with a forward step, almost every one. The other ones are generally lateral side steps. There's very, very few movements in square dancing that actually make you start by moving backwards.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the
when you push off the plane, for instance, would you find boys run couples circulate comfortable? And the dancers, chances are you would find yes. But if your dancers are being pushed off the plane so that the lady's moving backwards, she has to do exactly the same back check step for a couple circulate. And if you do boys run, what movement can you possibly follow that with?
Well, so I think there's some subtleties involved with the timing of presentation. So if you say boys run and couples circulate all like one call, the girls compensate and they don't even bother to hook hands in the center.
Absolutely.
But if you're using stop and go choreography where you have to exactly create every formation and there's little continuity, then I guess it makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you call boys run chain down the line without stop and go dancing, it also flows well because the dancers will have the anticipation. That again is not a dancer issue. That's a caller and a teaching issue. That's a whole different subject. Helen, excellent work. I've got Roz lined up and then John Jurgens, you wanted to go as well. So we're going to start with Roz and then we're going to go to John. So Roz, you've got a sequence. Let's change yours to get in to partner line to corner box to corner box module, corner box Actually, no, we're going to do a partner line to corner box. That's your module. And then we're going to do a corner box to partner line module. And then a get out of your choice. The reason I'm showing you what sequences to do is so that you don't have a long written sequence written out. This is what you're going to do is, if you look at it in that context, each one of those modules is essentially a flow module, or it's collectively one movement. You know where it starts, you know where it finishes. So that sequence that I just gave Roz is 1, 2, 3, 4 modules. That's it. So Roz, get into a corner or partner line, please. You're going to have to unmute yourself. It's easier for the dancers to hear.
Sorry.
There
That
you go.
better? Okay, heads lead right, circle to a line.
Okay, nice little get in. We're there. Partner line to corner box.
Okay, I didn't write one. So
So use your foundation
partner
module.
line to
then.
corner box. Okay.
Use your foundation module.
Touch quarter. Circulate.
Hang on.
And voice run. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so now we want a corner box to a corner box.
Right. Okay. This is what I wrote, but I don't know if it's too long or if it's okay. Okay. Swing through. Boys run. Tag the line. Cloverleaf. On the double track Dixie style to Ocean Wave. Oh, that's my theme one.
Only because it doesn't do Dixie style on double track.
Oh, okay, right. Boys start swing through. Girls run. Bend the line. Dixie style to a wave. Left swing through. Girls run. Bend the line. Pass through. Wheel and deal. Zoom. And center square through 3.
Okay, now want a corner box resolution.
Corner box resolution. I think I've got some of those. Okay, well, it's got the double track again, but that's all right.
If you just put Dixie
hang on.
style, I was going to say, if you just do Dixie style on a double track, it'll do it anyway.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Swing through. Boys run. tag the line again. Clover leaf again. On the double track Dixie style.
What is it I typed there, Carol?
Just Dixie style to a wave, or DX will do.
Last time I did Dixie style, I just had the girls doing it.
Boys run.
Hang on a second.
Bend the line.
Yep.
Right and left through. Slide through. Swing and promenade. If I was doing that long sequence, would I just cut it a bit shorter? Like do the get in, do the long sequence,
I'm going to be
and
coming.
then a get out?
It's a good eye that you caught that, because I was going to be coming to that. You've got some very interesting and some very technical choreography. Your focus, I'm assuming, was the Dixie style on the double track?
Yes.
Okay.
Or just
So
Dixie style. Yeah.
Or just Dixie style. Okay, so when we look at this, heads lead to the right, circle to a line, a standard get into a box, a conversion, touch a quarter, all eight, circulate, boys run. That's a foundation conversion. Swing through, boys run, tag the line, cloverleaf. We've got good sweeping flow. We put the girls in the middle, great. And then we've got a on your own track or on the double track, ladies lead Dixie style to a wave, girls run. Okay, so let's just take it up to that point. Boys run, there's a corner box, swing through, works well, boys run. Tag the line, again, it works quite well. Cloverleaf, nice sweeping wind in the face movement, girls are in the lead. You would call your Dixie style as you come in. On your own track, ladies lead Dixie style to the boy in front, whatever you want to use to prompt it to give your dancers maximum success. There's the Dixie style, finishes. Boys start swing through, excellent. Girls run, good. Bend the line, Dixie style to an ocean wave, great. Okay, so what was our turn? You notice I put 2 stars there.
Yeah.
I'm leaving this open. What do you see? Start with you. You've done a Dixie style to an ocean wave.
Yeah.
Okay, so watch the flow here. Dixie style to an ocean wave. Which way are they turning?
Well, they're still going in, so I thought a left swing through would still be all right.
Okay, they're still going in, but what would their anticipation be?
Or to go across.
The dancers in the center would want to clap hands. Remember what Mike was saying earlier about stepping to an ocean wave and calling a hinge? Although it's the same movement, it's not conducive. That's because of the
Can you hold on a
definition.
sec? Can you shut the door? I couldn't hear. My husband came in.
Although
Yeah, sorry.
that by
what was that? About the
definition
same
stops that. But when you do something like a Dixie style, half ladies in, half right, half left, that's the same as doing
Yes.
everybody with the right hand trade, following it by a swing through. If you're in an ocean wave, call everybody with the right hand trade and then call swing through.
Right.
It's not going to feel right for the dancers.
Flow.
Okay, because you've got
Right.
it's not a wrong movement, it's a movement that's going to be very awkward because the dancers will anticipate either a forward action or a center's right hand action. Okay, so let's carry on with that.
Okay.
We did the left swing through. Girls run, bend the line. You're running out and bending in, which is good. Pass through, wheel and deal. zoom, centers square through 3. Right hand, left hand, right hand. What hand is free?
Left.
Okay, and your next movement was right here on the screen.
Can't do 2. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what Mike was pointing out. When you look at your modules, you have to make sure that you know what is conducive, what you can do. So it's not a big problem, because if you wanted to follow that, you can change that center square through 3 to a left square through 3.
Or slide through, square through 2.
Yeah, or all sorts of right and left through, pass through, all sorts of things.
Okay.
Ideally, you want to try, if you end your modules hands free, you're going to be successful 99% of the time. Okay, so let's carry on with this. Swing through, boys run, tag the line, and cloverleaf. Again, you're using the same theme. Girls in the middle, slightly different setup. And on your own track, Dixie style. Thank you for telling me that. I've been trying to figure out how to do that. And again, you follow it with boys run. You've swung in half left, and you've done a boys run. Okay, that's left hand, and the anticipation is to go forward and to the right, or a center action, or a forward action. Not a left hand action. Just something to be aware of, because your dancers are going to bulk at that. Okay, bend the line. Now, I did have a little issue with this one. What level are you calling?
Mainstream.
Okay, what?
Who turns who?
Okay, right and left through, half sashayed.
Yeah.
You got to be aware of that.
Can't do it in mainstream.
If you're going to be doing it as a gimmick and your dancers got through it to that point, okay.
No, it's accident.
Slide through, bang. Now, you mentioned earlier, would I do a long sequence if I had that? If you're calling choreography like that and you have these long sequences, I would have finished that there, or I would have finished it when we got into that Dixie style. You could have ended that when you had your partners in sequence, just to get them to where you want to do. That way the dancers succeed, because what you've got is your Dixie style and the tracks are followed by some interesting choreography that's quite challenging.
Right.
So if you're going to use that after your Dixie style, you get them to succeed, you get them to some place that's comfortable quickly, especially if you're using unusual choreography. You want to get them, I'm going to use Helen as an example. She used her movement to pass the ocean, the half sashayed. Immediately it was followed by something that normalized the dancers, that they were comfortable. You didn't leave them in that half sashayed, or you didn't give them a gimmicky call, because they're now focused on Dixie style. Okay, centers on a single track, Dixie style, Dixie style, Dixie style, right and left, right, pull by, my hand goes behind them. Their head's down, they're thinking Dixie style, and the lady's got her hand out, ready to be courtesy turn. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be getting courtesy turn. I've got a courtesy. You've changed their whole focus and their whole thought process. Accident. and that's the kind of thing that's going to happen. You have some really, really interesting and some good material in there. There's just some minor faults that I saw as the handedness on it. Square through 3 to a swing through, that kind of stuff. Those are very common mistakes. They happen a lot. But you've got some really nice material and some good modules to pull in. I would shorten them just a little bit though, if I were you. Anyone else want to make some comments? Carol?
No, I thought you were going to say, anybody want to go?
I've got John going next, and I can put you right after John.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments on that? Betsy, Mike, you're both a hell of a lot more experienced than I ever will be.
I think your comments were excellent and right on point.
All right. Good job, Roz.
Thank you.
And do you
I'm
want
going to
that
have to leave you. I've got an appointment. So.
Do you want that sequence copied in the chat or not?
Yeah, you can if you like. Thank you. And then I'll have a look at changing it.
Okay, I'm just having a quick look. John, are you about ready?
Yeah, sure. What the heck?
Okay.
What's my sequence?
Just a second.
Well, Something with a half a plucker in it.
Okay, reset. And okay, so what's your theme?
I'm going to use ends crossfold.
Okay, so we're gonna have let's see what we got here. We'll go get into corner box, half chicken plucker, corner box to corner box, half chicken plucker, corner box to partner line, and resolve. That's one, that's 2 or maybe 3 of your modules, but 2 chicken pluckers.
Do you care which ones are my modules and which ones are, I want to use one of my chicken pluckers, but do you care about the other ones?
Don't care. Let's start with a get into a corner box.
All right,
Yes.
heads lead, ready?
Yep.
Heads lead right, circle to a line. Pass through. Ends cross fold. Step to a wave. Center circulate. Walk and dodge. Wheel and deal. So you have a zoom and centers pass through.
Okay, the next one is a half chicken plucker. So
This is, we'll do the standard chicken plucker on that.
okay. We,
Hang on
ahead.
a second. It's right, left through, pass through, trade by. We have to have a corner box,
corner box to corner box.
Zeros, the quarter box to quarter box. Oh, I gotta figure out how I do them. Hang on. Quarter box. Oh,
This is
Right
one of
here,
the
right.
reasons why I'm just going to make a comment before you do that, John. I noticed this on both you and Roz. When you have these prepared, if you're going to have a cue sheet, you have one sheet. And
Yeah.
that sheet is in front of you. Everything else should be put away off the table. There should be no binders. There should be no flipping of papers, because the ideal is your sheet is either lying there on the table, or it's on the computer screen for you to refresh at a glance. And that's it. So all your material should be there when you do a prepared sheet. It's great to have lots of material, but have one of each. You've got one.
yeah,
sheet.
well, I have one of each, but when I typed it out real quick, like I didn't get it down to a small
That's fine.
size. So,
It was just a general comment. So we need a corner
Right.
box, corner box.
all right, swing through.
Yep.
And ends cross fold. Star through. Wheel and deal. Double pass through. Clover leaf. Boy's tune. Centers pass through.
Okay. Should only be one.
All right,
bead.
ready?
Okay, now we want to take it back to a half chicken.
All right, let's go circle to a line. pass through, ends cross fold, swing through, girls trade, pass through, wheel and deal, centers pass through.
I see Mike Sikorsky writing that stuff down because he's probably going to steal that one and put it in his repertoire.
Don't give away my secrets.
Okay, now a corner box to a partner line, John.
We'll do the foundation module. Swing through, girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, bend the line.
Partner line get out.
Okay, let's see what I got. Spin the top. Ends cross fold. I'm going to do a do-sa-do to a wave. Centers trade. Boys run. Oh, centers trade. No, centers circulate. Gotta have a circulate in there. Now we got boys run. Ferris wheel. Let's have a centers right and left through. Centers pass through, Element left, promenade home. Yeah.
That didn't work.
Fancy stuff there.
Okay. So you've
All
got
right, let me have it.
Sorry, not you've got a lot
me
of
have it.
really interesting material in there. I noticed a couple of things. They're probably going to be easier to note as I go through. You did your get in, heads lead to the right, circle to a line, took you to a partner line. Okay, so this is not just a get into a corner box. It's also a partner line to a corner box conversion. So you've basically got, when you wrote that module, you've got two modules in one there.
All right.
Okay, so that's good. Your half chicken plucker standard, swing through, ends cross fold. Okay, that gives me a bit of an offset. Star through, that gives me my lines are kind of like this, but you followed that with the wheel and deal, which allows the dancers to adjust. In 99% of the cases, the dancers would adjust to a double pass-through formation. If you time that well, star through, you're facing out, wheel and deal, double pass-through, they're going to adjust to that, which you followed that with a good choice, being the wheel and deal, followed by the double pass-through. That allows for dancer adjustment. Computer programs are going to make those offsets, and a lot of times you're not going to be able to do anything because of those offsets.
I like that half step. That might be unique.
Yeah, you did a half chicken plucker, circle to a line. Nothing wrong with using circle to a line as the start of a movement. It's a no hands start and away you go. And you ended with a no with both hands free. Pass through, ends cross fold. Now this does not have an offset and you immediately went to a swing through. Good choice, both hands free. Girls trade, pass through, wheel and deal, centers, pass through. You're keeping up with that theme in there, not a big problem. Swing through, girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, bend the line. Standard foundation module. It flows, we know that. And then this one we'll see Mike Sikorsky calling here probably very soon. Spin the top from an ocean wave. Okay, I put a double star there. Depending on where you are, you're going to see a lot of dancers balk at that. They don't like spin the top from facing couples. They like the swing through, spin the top, or they like to have that wave established. Not a problem. You have to know your dancers. If you're aware that that could be a problem, just put 2 stars next to it or something like that to indicate to you that you may have to prompt the dancers. Spin the top, half right, boys go 3, girls move up. Whatever you have to do to give the dancers maximum success. Ends cross fold. That took them, instead of a tidal wave offset, just parallel waves. Ends cross fold, there's an offset, and then you called do-si-do to a wave. That is probably the most fantastic choice you could have done right there, because that offset is a big Z on ends cross fold. Do-si-do to a wave, they go forward, they go back, they go forward. The dancers will adjust, an excellent choice. Centers trade, good choice again. Centers circulate, good. We're starting to get to that point of overflow, but then you change it to a boys run, new direction, so you're excellent again, and everything else is pretty straightforward. So the whole thing, get into a partner line to corner box, pass through, ends cross fold, step to a wave, center circulate. That could have been just probably the biggest hiccup in there, but it's very simple to do and the dancers would not have a problem with it. Hands free, a standard chicken plucker, which gives us good flow for the dancers, both hands free into a right hand swing through, excellent choice. Cross fold, let's just back that up a bit. Do you all see what I mean by the offset? Okay, so when you have an offset like this, if you have dancers that are dancing challenge or A2 in DBD, or if you have callers that are learning to call that are advanced or challenge dancers, they tend to think of these things as formations. Dancers do not think of these things as formations to play with unless you say center 6 only and tell them. They want to adjust to something that is normal. You from here went star through, lines facing out, wheel and deal. That is a bit uncomfortable. Star through, wheel and deal for the boys, because the boy has to turn right, and then the right-hand dancer goes in first. That boy has to turn right and then make an immediate pivot. The only reason this really works here is because if he pivots rather than backing up, it brings all the dancers back into alignment, because he'll have to pivot on the spot and then they'll just back into that. Okay, so star through, wheel and deal. See how the offset is there? The dancers right there would have probably adjusted to a double pass through formation. You gave them a double pass through. They feel, I did that right. I was offset, but I did what he wanted. I feel good about myself, even though they would have done it automatically. They now feel they've had a difficult challenge. They've captured something that was weird and wonderful, and they've succeeded to something that is perfectly normal and natural to them. Cloverleaf, good flowing movement, back to standardized couples. You've gone from the weird abstract of the formation into something that is familiar with a flowing move that takes us back to normal couples. The dancers are comfortable. They're going to be happy. Boys only, zoom. Oh, that was a bit tricky, but it's very hard to mess that up. Centers pass through, hands are free. You did your chicken plucker. Circle to a line, pass through, ends cross fold, no offset, into a swing through, and then you followed it with a girls trade to lines. Nice choice. If your dancers were having any problems at all, you can do easily lines forward and back or girls looking out trade to make that maximize success. That is an excellent choice. Pass through, wheel and deal. Again, centers pass through, both hands are free. Swing through, right hand start, no problem. Girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, bend the line. That is a foundation module that we know flows very well. And here, this is where you call a spin the top from facing couples in a title or in a facing line. Dancers sometimes have hesitation with that depending on where you're from. Give them a little prompt. You can say, make a wave. You can do do-si-do to a wave, spin the top, whatever you need. If your dancers don't need it, don't use it. But if they do need it, you're in a perfect place to give them the clues that they need. So spin the top. What I liked here is you went from the title back to something they've already done. Ends cross fold, there's that offset again. And then you fixed it with do-si-do to an ocean wave. Beautiful choice. Centers trade, excellent choice. And boys circulate, or centers circulate. Boys run, Ferris wheel. The rest is the same. You could have done a square through 3 to an Alaman left, or right and left through, pass through, Alaman left. Whatever your get out is, worked beautifully. And we just did a right and left grand. That takes us halfway around, promenade home. You had some really difficult choreography in there, some really good choreography, but there was nothing in there that was so insanely difficult other than that star through wheel and deal combination, which is just a little awkward for the two boys that are on the inside of that situation, because they have to go forward, turn right, and then back up left. Any other comments?
The girls straight from that were facing out, you'd probably want to give them a little heads up on it.
Yep, same thing. Those girls facing out or the ladies trade lines up to the middle and back, anything like that, because what's nice about it is it's a bit unusual, but it takes them from that ladies trade from lines facing out to regular facing lines very quickly, and it's a comfortable formation. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Girls, or those facing out, or the ladies facing out, trade with each other. Whatever you need to prompt the dancer's success. You have some really, really good work in there, John.
I found that the biggest problem I had with that working with ends cross fold is that goofy Z formation you ended up with. So yep. It was okay when I had the dancers facing face to face in the Z, but I haven't quite figured out what to do with them when they end up facing the back of someone.
Yeah.
So any suggestions on that one?
You can have leaders turn back and star through lines, whatever you want. The ideal of what you have is to make sure that the dancers will succeed in something that's comfortable for them. That Z is usually a setup that comes about when you're doing a lot of plus thing, ends fold, peel to top, that kind of stuff. You can have the leaders, just flip right or any the trailer step forward. Whatever you want to do, as long as you have the dancers succeed with where you want. Don't keep them in those odd abstract formations, especially not in basic and mainstream for any length of time.
I wasn't planning to.
A simple face in lines up to the middle and back will work.
If you have them in a tandem, half a zoom will work.
Yeah, half a zoom would work, but they're still going to be in that bit of an offset if the dancers don't adjust. Ideally,
not really.
Sorry?
Not really.
Okay, just
Dance will adjust.
Reset.
Also, John, in some of those cases, you could swap out and use a cross run instead of fold, and that would eliminate those offsets. Yeah, I could, but that my signature move was the ends cross fold. So that's what I was trying to work into every one of these. I mean, it was a challenge for me. That's why I went with that. Hey, John, what would happen if you did centers cross fold?
Yeah.
Well,
Lots of space.
yeah, I suppose I wasn't thinking that one through, but yeah, I went with ends cross fold. I suppose a cross fold. Yeah, I could have tried centers. I didn't put into the mix. Well, like someone said, that if you do a centers cross fold, now you have a large gap in between, so that you have to fill.
Yeah, generally what happens is you get exactly what these dancers did here. And that is exactly what the dancers should not have done, was slide together.
Vertical lines.
You'll find that your dancers will make a lot of those adjustments for you. Just be aware if you're going to be using that, what you did in there with the do-si-do to a wave or following it with something that's going to make them naturally adjust to a known formation is an excellent choice, because you're giving the dancers every possible opportunity to succeed.
So what if we do an ends cross fold from a two-faced line, you get some really, do that ends cross fold from a two-faced line.
Needling.
See now, what do you do with that?
Okay, this is where you said half zoom, isn't it?
No, I didn't use this count. I don't think I did. No, I didn't use half zoom on that.
That's why I wouldn't
No.
use a half zoom.
I didn't use half. I didn't do this. I didn't know what to do with this module here.
Yeah. So on this one,
Yeah.
hey, say in line, you go forward, up and back.
Oh, okay. I guess I adjust to a line.
The computer, I type adjust to a line, but if I say everybody face in and lines of 4 go up to the middle and back, I've now got them into a position where they're going to normalize themselves. Even though they're half sashayed, they're comfortable with a line. They're out of that weird abstract into something that's a little more comfortable. And then I can do something simple like it takes from the weird and wonderful, and I'm back into normal dancers, and I can do what I want, slide through.
Well, I was dealing with a lot of the weird and wonderful. I'm not so sure about the wonderful part.
Okay, you have some very good material and some very good options in there, John. But this is what I was saying. Make sure that you're not writing the technical for yourself to get different because you think it's boring to the dancers if you don't. The dancers are not going to get bored with good, flowing, smooth choreography. Helen used the example of the Past the Ocean half sashayed. She did it twice in one sequence. She was there. She's a third of the way through her tip. She'll probably do it 2, maybe 3 more times in the entire bracket with nice, simple choreography, changing heads and sides. The dancers are going, wow. And Helen, like your bracket, what you were having there on the screen, I'd be very proud to even call that or dance that in a full mainstream hall. That was really good stuff. John, you have excellent choreography, good choreographic ideas, a couple of things which are a little difficult, not hard, but they might need a little prompt. That's a good, solid piece of choreography for a good, solid mainstream floor.
I want to add in, I think last week, Mel, you were talking about how you don't need to do too many strange things, but it's also good to use all of the calls. So if you challenge yourself to write modules with the calls that you don't normally use, you will then find out what the problems may be, but you can continue to add those calls into your calling. It's a friend of mine who's learning to call them the orphan modules, or the orphan figures, because we never use them because they make us uncomfortable, so we never use them, so the dancers can't do them, so we never use them, and round it goes. But if you challenge yourself like John did, then he's figured out some of the problems of this, and he's surmounted them, and that will make it better for everybody concerned.
One of the things that came up in a workshop, and had this actually conversation with Jeff as well, when we talk about preparing a tip for a theme, like for your instance, ends cross fold, if I was going to be using material like what you had, John, and there is some really good material in there, I would probably be having ends cross fold as my theme for an evening. So that I could set up, start with an ends cross fold into a swing your corner, or an ends cross fold, swing your corner, Alaman left, Alaman dar, and all that other kind of stuff. The next tip, I would have the boys cross fold. If the boys are on the, I'd have the girls cross fold. The next one, I'd have the centers cross fold. Then I'd get the ends cross fold into the Z formation and play with it. And each tip would be progressively themed to build on the other with a whole series of different little things dealing with ends cross fold. And you could have an entire evening of success because the dancers will have done it easy, added on, now they're into this is my big focus. And then from there, good solid choreography using what they've known and what they've been successful at for the other 4 tips of the evening, but just that enough little variety amongst all of those modules that you've got for your 4 practice tips. You're never going to use that. I could call an entire week. If I had 8 modules on one theme, I could call an entire week of calling nonstop without really repeating sequences if I had that many modules. And,
Hey,
and
John.
you guys
John,
laugh at me, but I'm serious about it. Go ahead, Rod.
Yeah, John. One of the things that you didn't look at is that from lines facing out. That's probably the smoothest cross fold, especially if you have the girls on the ends. Have the girls cross fold, and they'll be facing a boy, and then you can. That's easy, regular formations. Nothing's offset, so you can have lines facing out, have boys on the ends or girls on the ends, and do your cross fold. Then you can touch a quarter, you can star through, you can swing through or whatever, and center straight, whatever. But it's a lot easier to use it. Kudos for you for doing it from the 2-face line. It's harder to use.
Now put them back in the swing through boys run type 2-face line, because there was a question. What do I do from there?
Yeah, I'll just come back. I just want to deal with what Rod was saying.
Okay.
Okay, John, what Rod was saying is if you set up something like this for your sequences where you have the same sex on the outside, boys on the outside or girls on the outside, this would be a better place to start your ends cross fold, because now you have a boy looking at a girl, and of course, whenever you have all boys looking at girls, you want to normalize quickly. Sorry, I did that with a Tennessee accent there.
Oh yeah, sure. I don't have any problem with that. I was good with getting into a double pass through formation. That was just fine. I was just trying to figure out what to do with the with that Z offset. I mean, yeah, I could have done this. That was my problem. My problem was trying to deal with this goofy thing. I tried to figure out how to hammer it out, and I think I got close.
So I thought you did pretty good, John. What I experienced when I was learning was to do kind of what you did a lot. And I think that turned out to be a bad idea most of the time. Trying to create choreography that's just too complicated and overlook the things that seem standard and normal. Because the dancers don't really look at that as standard and normal. The one that he just set up with the girls on the ends doing the cross fold, there's a lot of different kinds of get outs that you can do there. And that actually sets up a nice activator box. If you've got activators to play with, you can do that. But, touch a quarter gives you waves, and you can follow it with a girl's trade in the middle or whatever. And the dancers don't see that kind of choreography very often. So it seems new and different to them, but it's easier for them to manage. I actually did this exercise with cross fold, so it was really interesting to see what you came up with versus what I did.
The reason I put that up there, what Rod was saying, John, was not because you didn't have that, because I've seen you sent me a lot of material to look at as well. You have a number of those things in there as well. It's just when something is put up like Mike with the touch a quarter and the hinges, I like to clarify them because it puts it out there in such a way that a lot of new callers that have been looking at this, they may look at that and go, oh, I never saw that before. So if you got things like that, share them, especially when you got callers talking with callers or new callers talking with mentors or peers talking with peers, because you'll see something that somebody else won't see in a different way. And if you share that experience, you're both going to benefit from it.
Well, can I do a half
just
step
one
from
second,
here?
One second, John. Who was it that asked me to put them back in this 2-face line ends cross fold? Was that you, Mike?
Me, that was me.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, because I think John's comments was, what do I do from here? And I have called exactly what you're talking about. Right here, what you can do is say girls trade. And if you're calling plus, you can say spread. If you're calling mainstream, you say girls trade and slide apart, boys step in. and you've got a half sachet two-faced line and a fix is couples circulate.
A better use of that might, if those two boys are actually connected, which I don't think that they normally are on a floor.
Well, they show that. That's why you want to do a couple circulate right here, is because the boys, when they step in, they may not, they won't have a two-faced line. They'll hold hands with a girl usually, but not each other. So if you just say couple circulate, that tends to fix it.
Right,
Yeah.
but go back to the one that you had a minute ago, Mel, with the Z. So you see these, the side boys are connected there.
Yep.
I don't know if that actually happens on most dance floors, but let's say that you can get them
I
to.
find that that happens in Europe. I find that that happens in Australia because they're taught, if you're standing beside somebody, reach out, even if it's only for a second, touch their hand because it establishes the formation.
Right. So now if you used Mike's idea and had the center 6 trade, and then have the girls slide apart and the boys step in between, you have just converted the groups. So boys cross run, bend the line, partner line.
And one of the nice things,
Mike, did you get that?
Yeah, I call it research.
yeah, when you do this, okay, you're in this formation. If you have a floor, you know how we were talking about, John, you used a movement that would normalize, for instance, girls turn back, star through, lines of 4 up to the middle and back. You know, that's having the dancers doing all the work. If you've got a floor that is in a bit of a really, really good solid dancing and ready for some experimental or just something just a little awkward but still easy, if you called from here, don't adjust, center 6 trade, girls slide apart, boys move between them, that feels very weird, that feels very difficult, that feels challenging. And you know what? It's so simple they cannot fail at it. The center 4 girls and the very center boys only trade. Girls slide apart, boys slip in, boys cross run, bend the line, and they're back to normal. That feels like you've called something absolutely difficult, and it's not. The dancers had no real options except to succeed, and you've normalized the floor. And that's where the dancers are going to go, holy crap, this guy's good.
Yeah. Can you go back to that Z formation again?
Yeah, just a second. I'm going to copy that.
So good you want to write it down, huh?
No, I'm going to copy that and put it in the chat in case anybody else wants to.
And either way works with it, whether it's just the girls trade and step apart or the center 6 trade. Both of them work equally as well.
I want to ask another question here, though.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
I'll go back to the Z formation thing. Okay, can I make a move together? Can I just slide them like can you call a half step or something like that?
You do a step ahead, they do that. So
How about half step?
Yep.
Will that do it?
And you would just say, step up to the next. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Step up one person. You just have to make sure that you follow it with something that they can do.
Did you say a half a circulate would be the same thing?
Yeah, maybe half circulate. Contaminations like that.
No, there was one of those, it's actually a very good question, because a half circulate, common sense would say to the dancers, I want to move up one person. But when you think about a circulate, when you're circulating, if you're a trailer, you're actually going 2 people. So a half circulate is 1 person. But if you're a leader, a half circulate is a 1 position. You've got 2 leaders. So half a position, I don't know if you can you see my cursor on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So the leaders, if they were going to circulate, would go one position. If they went half a position, they'd be facing forward and to the right.
It's really a half a press ahead.
99.99% of the dancers will do exactly what you want. If you called half a circulate to a column, bang, 99% of them would do it. But you will have that one or two dancers or the one or two callers that are in the hall that are so technically perfect and have to be right all the time, that will create a theological seminary on the discussions and merits of the definition of circulate, and you've lost it. Best to avoid those kinds of things and let them come up to you afterwards.
No, that's right along with.
Step forward and form a column and just use English to do that. It's really half a press ahead.
Absolutely. Basic English or basic Japanese or basic Russian, whatever language you're calling in, the movements are in English, but you've got to remember, if you're going to do a prompt, if I wanted to say step ahead to the next dancer, that's a language. Helen, how would I say that to your dancers if I said step up to the next dancer? You're muted, Helen.
Ett steg fram till nästa. But we never speak Swedish when we're calling. We don't.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But what I'm saying is I'm not using the language, the square dance language. I'm using the understanding what I'm saying to somebody.
I was going to comment on that you were saying use basic English, but at least for some dancers, you can't do that in Sweden. So you have to keep that to a minimum, or at least you have to be very conscious of the fact that you're doing it.
Well, Mel, one of the things I needed to learn was what to do for terminations, because I can't use something that terminations doesn't recognize, or I can't do the rest of the sequence. So that's what I was trying to do, get to, so I can continue on.
I'm going to clarify this very simply. I am not a very strong advocate of using computer programs to write choreography. I like to use my checkers. I like to see the flows. The reason I suggested terminations is for new callers. I want you to do it with your checkers, but terminations has a tendency of doing two things. It restricts you to doing stuff in a relatively simple way. That's the positive of it. The negative is it will do things like a right and left through half sashayed that you shouldn't be doing, that you have to be aware of. It puts that limit to actually bring you away from the weird, wonderful, way out technical. That's the only reason. And it's just a quicker way for you to check your material. But if you don't want to use terminations or colorama, use your checkers. That's what I do. Okay, I think Carol, you wanted to go next, was it?
Yes, mine's is the same actually. Mine's cross-fold as well.
Yeah, Mike Sikorsky just wrote, create with your checkers and your brain. Check your choreography using terminations or square dance. Absolutely, agree with it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, that's my plan. I do that.
Yep, that's what I do. Okay, so Carol, let's get you to do a get in to a partner line. We'll start with the sides this time. And we're going to do a partner line to corner box conversion, your conversion. Corner box chicken plucker. Corner box to corner box and chicken plucker out.
My pen's not writing. What was that again? My pen stopped writing.
I've got it here.
Get into a partner line.
Get into a partner line.
Yeah, partner line to the corner box to a chicken plucker. And what was next?
A corner box chicken, then a corner box to a corner box, and then a chicken plucker get out.
Oh. I think I've got one of them, but never mind.
So get me to a partner line.
Right. Partner line. Head. Oh no, you're doing sides. You wanted, didn't you? Sides past the ocean. Girls trade. Centre girls, that is. Extend. Recycle. and star through.
Okay, so now we want a partner line to a corner box.
Okay. Past
So
the ocean.
I forgot to write what was your focus movement?
It's the same as the last one, which was cross.
Okay.
I forgot what it was now. Yes, yeah, the same anyway. Cross fold, sorry, beg your pardon.
Excellent.
Past the ocean. Left swing through. Boys cross fold. Girls trade. Slide through. Adjust to a line. Oh. Adjust to a line. And then it was, oh, I've done something wrong then. Oh, no, I haven't. I've done this wrong. Okay, I'll just wing it from here then. Wheel and deal. What are we doing it to? Corner box. Pass through. It won't be a corner box, I was going to say. Pass through, and it's.
Okay. We're here right now. Okay. This is actually an excellent learning opportunity. Right now you're struggling, but you recognize that this is a partner box, right?
Yeah.
Or close enough to it. Remember what Mike said, these foundation modules, they are so beautiful for use. If I did a slide through from here, where am I?
You're in a partner line.
Okay, so if I do a slide through, because you recognize that, there's the partner line, you recognize that. Instead of struggling, use your foundation.
Foundation, okay. Touch a quarter. Olate, circulate, boys run.
They are so useful because you saw that, but you're trying to work the dancers and keep your focus, but you saw what it was. They are so useful for getting you out of trouble. And if you're in trouble, you can always throw one of those in and just move the dancers around because it will show you where the dancers are. Let's just take that back a second. Oops, sorry. You were here, even if you didn't know what you wanted to do and you wanted something, swing through. Girls circulate, boys trade. I'm not even looking at the dancers. Boys run, bend the line. I've got somebody paired. It will get you out of trouble. It'll get you to somewhere where you can recognize. You had a beautiful one there with just the corner box. So let's just go back to that one.
I only had one partner line to a corner box. I know loads of others, but that's wrong. Oh dear.
Okay, so we did a star through. We got out of trouble. Hang on. Okay, now we want to do a chicken plucker. I believe it was the next one.
And it was to a get out, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay, right and left through. Pass through. trade by.
We're in the right-hand box, and we want to do a corner box to a corner box module.
Corner box to a corner box module. Okay, touch a quarter. Scoot back. Walk and dodge. Ends cross fold. Slide through.
Slide through?
Slide through.
Okay, you got boy looking at boy, girl looking at girl.
Yeah, I've probably made another mistake here. I've written that many times. Circulate. You
Can't do it. Well, you can, I suppose.
Yes, you can. You can pass through in there.
I would personally, I'm gonna put a triple asterisk there.
Centers trade. The partner trade. Wheel and deal. And centers square through 3. Oh no, I already got it. No, it's all right, it's upside. Pass through instead in the center.
Okay, you were actually right on your square through 3 because if you remember.
What?
That is your corner box to corner box module. You remember we did a half chicken plucker? Now we've got to do a half chicken plucker out to the Alaman left.
Oh, I see. I thought, well, I was on the wrong side. Okay. Pass through the center. I think we'll have to change.
You need something before that, don't you?
What, you mean right and left through, you mean? What's it say? Carpenter. Can't read it. Pass through and trade by.
Oh, you wanted to pass? You said it passed to the center, so.
I've got lost now. I don't know where I am. If I pass through, it should be back, shouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a couple of things in there. You got quite technical in what you can and cannot do, especially on those circulates. But let's just have a quick go through. You get into a partner line. Did sides pass the ocean, centered ladies trade, extend, recycle, star through. Nice. Got no problem with that at all. You followed it with a forward motion because the dancers are moving forward with a pass the ocean. This is one of those anomalous, we call them traps or treasures. You know how we do a Dixie style to an ocean wave followed by a left swing through? That's a trap movement. Okay, that's one that just has a cap. Pass the ocean ladies trade works really, really well. Pass the ocean left swing through for some reason does not work well.
Okay.
Because it's counterintuitive. It should. There is no logical reason whatsoever that the dancers find that awkward, but they do. If you do a pass the ocean left swing through, it feels weird, even though pass the ocean ladies trade does not feel weird. It's just something to be aware of. And ladies dancing it, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's because you expect a different action, or you expect a ladies do something, not a swing through, even though it's a left-hand start. If you qualify that past the ocean pause left swing through, you'll get away with it. Okay, so there's the left swing through. We had the boys cross fold. We're into the Z. That's a cross fold from the center. Not a problem. That flows well into the choreography. And then you followed that with a ladies trade and a star through facing out, adjust to a line, wheel and deal. You could have done that star through, wheel and deal. The only problem I have with that is the star through followed by the wheel and deal. For the headmen in this case, they're doing their star through, forward right turn, and then they have to do a backup left pivot to get in there. The adjust to a line, everybody go forward and way back, wheel and deal will work. That will give you that natural adjustment for the dancers, especially if you do a wheel and deal. I saw somebody's hand raised, but I didn't see who.
It was mine,
That's
and you already said it.
Oh.
Forward. I would say forward, out, and back. It's a little
Yep.
bit of a gimmick. It makes them chuckle, and everything works.
And it really adjusts. Just those little fixes like that work really, really well. Okay, wheel and deal.
I call it everybody doing outback.
An outback, yeah, I like that. Consider that one stolen. Okay, now here's where you realize, oh, the module, I didn't quite check my module, it wasn't working, or I missed something, and you said, oops, what am I going to do? Here's where you have your absolute guaranteed 100% sight resolution, get out the spare tire that will always work if you just want to get the dancers home and start again. You recognize, they're in, if I do a star through, they're in partner lines. I can get to my corner box using a foundation module. Those little things are what's going to get you out of trouble. That was an excellent recognition that you saw that. I just threw in the module there for you. So you recognize you're in trouble. You've normalized, touch a quarter, circulate, boys run. The dancers are comfortable with that because it's a good, comfortable flow, and you're in a corner box. They're quite happy. If you were a bit shaky about your module, what would you do here?
I'd call Alaman left.
Alaman left, absolutely. If you were a bit shaky, or the dancers are a bit shaky, or you're not sure, call the Alaman left and the right and left grand. Give them the feel for the win. You're there, you're not struggling anymore, and you've got time for you to take a breath. Remember, these modules are not just there for the dancers. They're there for you to relax, because you got to trust that your own work does work. Okay. From there, we did a pass through, or right and left through, pass through, trade by, both hands free, touch a quarter, good. Okay, we did a scoot back, followed by a walk and dodge, followed by an ends cross fold. A lot of people will say that the head boys, because they're dodging to the right and then going to a forward action with the cross fold, is bad flow. I disagree. It's perfectly natural flow. And because it's a large sweeping movement, you will get away with that very easy. Because the dancers are facing out, they've got lots of room to play. They'll get away from it easy. And because you're doing the ends, they're not going to end in any kind of offset. I have nothing wrong with that. You called a slide through. I put a triple asterisk next to that. Why? You're muted, Carol.
Sometimes people forget whether they're a man or a woman or which way they're supposed to go.
If you want a boy-girl combination to normalize, whenever you're checking your choreography, slide through gives you both hands free, but see if you can change it to a star through. If you cannot change it to a star through, then you got a problem. Because if you can do a slide through from same sexes. That's like saying girls left touch a quarter, boys right touch a quarter. You know, but it's not. A slide through is a right shoulder pass, girls turn left, boys turn right. Yeah. It's not a comfortable movement for the ladies a lot of the time. And you notice how when you're doing the slide through, look at what shoulders they're passing. Then they turn left into the slide through, and then they have and go on. Okay, now I had a bit of an issue here. You called a circulate. In other words, centers trade, ends pass through, followed by a centers trade.
Yeah.
Which is basically what you said is centers trade, ends pass through.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yes, they can do it. Yes, they can do circulates like this. My question is, by doing those circulates, what have you done? If I was a
Trading on the
dancer,
spot.
okay, if I was a dancer and my focus here is ends cross fold, I've now figured out what the theme is. Now I'm going to change this. My focus is going to switch from ends cross fold to circulate from different positions. That's all I'm going to be thinking of, because that's weird and wonderful. If you have a theme, focus on your theme, build around it, keep the rest of the stuff fairly simple. So all your drama and all of your excitement is around your theme movement. If I was doing a workshop on circulates, or circulate was my theme, I might use something like that. But in this case, I would have just said ends pass through and avoided that circulate centers trade, because that's what you did. Was ends pass through. Okay. The wheel and deal. Square through 3. What hand is free?
Well, you mean not for an Alaman left, you mean?
Right, left hand's free, and the next movement.
Alaman left.
I think you saw that when you were doing it, but you'd already committed to it. I just put it up. Mike Sikorsky pointed that out earlier. You have to be aware of the hand availability. There's nothing wrong with having that as a module, as long as you're aware when you use it. If you want to have a right hand free, change it to a left square through, or as John said, slide through, star through, pass through, or right and left through, pass through. Okay, a half chicken plucker to resolve, right and left through, pass to the center, centers pass through, Alaman left to a right and left grand. There is absolutely nothing wrong with finishing a sequence with a foundation module to a partner line and calling circle left. There's nothing wrong with a foundation module to a corner box and calling Alaman left. And there's nothing wrong with calling half a chicken plucker to an Alaman left. Every module does not have to be one of your modules. You've got 5 foundation modules and you've got 6 modules to play with. In this, you've used 2 of your modules and you've got 134 beats of music. Roughly just under 1/3 of your record is used already with one sequence. You don't have to go way out in left field and fancy. Any other comments?
Just one general comment.
Yes, Mike.
The focus movement, I like to have the focus movement featured in the get out.
Yep.
Whatever. So the idea is maybe we start with a get out that is kind of cool, but it might be a little difficult. So you kind of work towards that get out, and then your modules, your theme modules, ideally should support that get out idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I had 2 get outs with it in, but we had to have a get out with a chicken plucker. So.
Yep. If you remember the when you created your module sheet, there is a get out from a corner box. There's a get out from a partner line. Basic get outs. And what Mike Hayworth is saying is absolutely correct. If you've got that, but what I'm really stressing here is, if you've used Past the Ocean was my theme, for instance, Past the Ocean in my get in, Past the Ocean in my module, Past the Ocean in my chicken plucker, Past the Ocean in my get out. Great. I've used my modules. And then the next sequence, I might use part of that, and I can use a chicken. It doesn't always have to be that get out to a partner line or that get out to. When I did Past the Ocean, I had 2 quick little get outs from partner line, which were to a right and left grand. They ended Past the Ocean, right and left grand, right there. Past the Ocean, recycle, right and left grand, right there. The feature movement is right near the end out, so the dancers don't have to work, they don't have to succeed. If you've got a nice get out that uses your feature, use it and use it often. Use your partner line, use your corner box. But if you do 3-4 sequence modules, you're only going to get 3 sequences down there, and you've used 4 minutes of music. Okay, try and keep your sequences fairly short, 3, 4 modules at the most, and let the dancers succeed. And that way, you're going to be using your get out from a partner line, your get out from a corner box. You're going to build the variety and the dancer success with what you've got, but keep it to that 1 sheet and limit it. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, Carol, you've got some really nice work in there. You've got a couple of good movements. I like what you did here, believe it or not, where you got the, ooh, I got lost, I'm in trouble. That I thought was absolutely excellent, because that is what is going to happen to you as a new caller more often than you think. The math says if you pair up 1 couple in a square, you are going to be right 86% of the time on your resolution. That's all you have to do. No matter what you call, pair up 1 couple and put them on the outside, you are going to be right over 86% of the time calling an Alaman left. That's the math. The reality is 86% of the time, it's going to be wrong. Get used to it, because no matter how, because that's the only thing you're going to remember. If you remember the 9 times 3 equals 26 tables, that's the only thing you're going to remember is that mistake you made, not all the good stuff. You've got some fantastic material in there. What I really like about that is you said, I'm in trouble. That's not what I had planned. Oh, I made a mistake, or I forgot to write something down. You immediately saw a partner pairing, star through them in a partner line. Even from there, star through, circle left, and you're out of trouble. Brilliant. I love that.
And what to add to what Mel said is a lot of times you'll read something and say it differently than what you have written down. So there immediately you are in trouble. So you go to what he said.
Yeah. And if you remember what Mike Sikorsky said a little bit earlier, those 5 foundation modules, especially the magic modules, corner box to partner line, corner box, conversions, if you're lost and you're in a box, call one of them. They will pair up a couple. And if 1 couple is paired, you've got half the square resolved already. That's one of the strengths of them. You can easily look at it, and if you're a 2-phase line Ferris wheel, put the couple on the match couple on the outside and have a look. It's a very quick and easy way to resolve a square. Okay, they are so powerful and they're so underused because they're saying, oh, I don't want to repeat myself. In one of the chats, somebody made a comment that, oh, I've prepared my modules, but I practice it, and the dancers get so bored with it because I'm calling the same. I've got 6 modules. Dancers are not going to get bored dancing this stuff. You're going to get bored. The dancers won't. You change heads and sides, you've changed the whole dance. You call 1 3-module sequence, heads, sides, and you put variations in there. You have never repeated yourself. You're out of music, and the dancers are going, wow, that was fun. Can't wait to see what they're going to do. You
can also take a module and substitute equivalents for part of that module. Interrupt
Absolutely.
it with some of that isolated site calling, or 2 couple or 1 couple site that Mel was saying, and then catch up with your module and then call the end of it.
Yep.
Whatever
like
it is.
I said, for new callers, if you've got a couple of equivalents, like square through 3, right and left through pass through, or slide through, star through, pass through. What Carol did here, instead of heads lead to the right or sides lead to the right, circle to a line, she's got an equivalent of a lead right circle line. She's got a different get into that part in the line. You, as you build your repertoire as a new caller, are going to see these. You're going to develop these, and then there's nothing wrong. You've got that one in your head. You're going to use that and the ones you know. And then when you do your 3rd one, you might add 1 more to those sequences starts. Every time you add one of those and use it repeatedly, it gets into your memory. And suddenly you've gone from 5 foundation modules and 4 modules. That's 660 different non-repeated sequences if you do heads and sides. And you add 1 more get into that, you've now added on another factor. You've increased the variations by 130 different sequences without repeating. It's not the dancers getting bored, it's you, because you've practiced these modules for about 6, 8, 10 hours getting ready for your new tip as a new caller. You're not there to impress. If I'm a brand new caller, I'm not there to impress Mike Sikorsky. I'm there to impress Mike Sikorsky's dancers. If I impress his dancers, then Mike Sikorsky's going to be impressed with what I do. Right. Anybody else want to give this a crack?
Yeah, Mel. Linda.
Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put you up in a second. Malcolm, you've raised your hand. Did you want to try this as well?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do Linda and then we'll come to you.
Okay.
Mel, how long do you think you're going to be running this Zoom for today?
Does anybody else want to have their choreography looked at and peer reviewed? Okay, so we've got 2 more reviews, about 15 minutes, maybe a half hour.
Because I wanted to show you my spreadsheet, and I've got a little bit of a time thing, so I'll stick around and see what happens. Thanks.
Okay. So Linda,
Okay.
let's have what's your theme movement?
I've worked out. I've got what you'd written down. Partner line to partner line, partner line to corner box, and then a corner box out. I worked around Pass the Ocean as my theme, but my singing call that I picked out had a split circulating, so I've actually put that into the opener in the module as well. Okay.
So you've got a compound theme, you've got 2 movements, so your choreography should be relatively simple.
Yeah, I've only put it's just that the song that I picked out to use for Pass the Ocean had a touch a quarter, a split circulating in it. So I just put that in. Okay, so get into a partner line, heads lead to the right. Yeah. Touch a quarter.
Can't type.
Split circulate. Boys run. My partner line.
Okay, give me a partner line.
Hey, come on, partner line,
Okay.
partner line.
Give me a partner line to a partner line module.
Pass through. Wheel around.
Yep.
Pass the ocean. Split circulate. Swing through. All 8 circulate. Circulate. Ladies tray, got lines, stands up to the middle and back.
Okay, give me a conversion to a corner box.
Pass through. Bend the line.
Hang on.
Pass the ocean. Ladies circulate. Swing through.
Is this soup ready to eat now or what?
Boys run. Wheel and deal. My get out. Slide through.
What is going on here? There we go. Okay, slide through.
Slide through. Pass the ocean. Ladies run. Bend the line. Square through 2. Right and left grand.
Oh.
Should be home.
let's open that up to comments first. Anybody have any comments on that?
I love the creativity there.
I love the fact that she used the wheel around.
From a place where most dancers will do it.
She's from Australia. That is a very, very popular, very well-used movement over here.
Yeah, it's quite funny, Mel. It's not, we don't call it a lot. So I'm trying to put it in a lot. Like my workshop last week was on wheel around. So we actually don't use it a lot at my club anyhow.
Well, that goes very well into saying what Mike Hayworth was saying earlier. I made a generalization when he said in the States, I said in Australia. As you can see, every area or every little sub-region has its own different nuances of what's used and what's not used. So I stand with my wrist slap and well corrected.
That was
the other thing. I'm sorry, Mike. I was talking at the same time you were. Once again with the ladies trade from that they were facing out. I think the little heads up girls facing out trade. It's a nice. I used a lot, but it still they need that heads up.
Yep.
I agree with that. I also say if they're not used to doing wheel around, that standard lines pass through wheel around is one where the most dancers you can teach it because they have lines facing in. However, you also, in my opinion, need to call things that require they learn it properly. For instance, the flow is into a flutter wheel. The flow is into a Dixie style to a wave where you can obviously call past the ocean. That does not emphasize the fact they need to turn the correct way.
After the wheel around, like wheel around with a past the ocean, but is used quite frequently, at least at the clubs I dance. But that's because they do a lot. I'm in complete agreement with you. You want to set up a flow for that movement. If you're going to do a past the ocean, and they're not used to it, that's when you want to give them an establishment movement that says this is where that movement is. Even a forward and back would say there's the wheel around. I have come 180 degrees. That movement is now over. You've got a definite break. If you do a wheel around to a ladies chain, you've got a definite break because the next movement says I have to be in facing couples to do a ladies chain. Excellent. Here it's a common movement. I believe in some of the dances I've watched on YouTube from Europe, wheel around is used quite extensively. If it's not, like you said you were workshopping it, take what Mike was saying absolutely to heart. Make sure that they know where that movement starts, where that movement ends, and follow it with something that really clearly defines the differences between those two movements.
Okay.
Is that about right?
Yep.
Could you paste this in the comment too also? Because this is great basic stuff. Most of it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I was a little worried there at her get out when she had them sashayed, and then when she did that half square through into the right left grand, I go, that was a nice wow. That was very good, Linda.
You notice I meant to put a double star there. We'll go to your corner box resolve, slide through, past the ocean. Ladies run, bend the line. Okay, so let's just, okay, past the ocean. The bend the line, ladies are running out, so you can bend the line comfortably. And then you've got a square through two. You've got a standard couple in the middle, and you got a half sashayed couple on the outside. If you've got new dancers and you have not cued them or prompted them on square through two, this is, who was saying about the ladies trade? Was that you, Rod?
Yeah, it was. I was real concerned about the flow here.
Same, yep, exactly. I think it's a beautiful little get out. It's very well done, but I would probably do what Rod said the first time or the first couple of times on your own side or something to just make sure that they're going to realize they are half sashayed doing this square through, that they work on their own so that we don't have that, well, I'm a normal couple in the center and leave the ends hanging. Square through two, 1, 2 to a right and left grand. It flows really, really nice. And as it worked out, you ended up home. I know that's not the sequence you had prepared, was it, Linda?
Yeah.
No, I mean, as far as that combination of modules.
Yeah, I did. I've got the partner line one, and then I've got a
No,
box
I mean
one.
in that order.
Yeah.
The reason I said
Yep.
to prepare these is I'm picking the orders because it gives you a chance
Okay.
to look at your modules and find those little treasures or those little traps.
Yep.
You have no traps out. Your ladies trade, these went into it. There's the partner line. That ladies trade got me to facing lines. Your pass through is a no hands movement. Your modules start with a no hands movement. They end with a no hands movement. Beautiful. Because it gives you so much flexibility what you want to, where you want to go from there. If you look at this whole thing, there's good right hand flow, left hand flow for the ladies, right hand flow for the ladies, left hand flow for the boys, forward, followed by a left, followed by a right. There's good transition all the way through. And there's a lot of good wind in the face sequence flowing. There's nowhere in there that I see any real examples of overflow. There's nothing more than a trade, like a center's trade twice, which you get swing through boys trade. There's nothing that has anything more than 4/4 turns in that. And there's good transition left and right. And there's really good flow sequence to sequence. Very well done, Linda.
Thank you.
Now, Malcolm, you wanted to have yours looked at.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm here.
What's your focus movement?
Right, it is a different one, a scoot back. So I've actually tried to put the scoot back into all the modules, including the get-ins and the get-outs and anything else in between. So we'll see how we go, shall we?
Let's do a sides get into a partner line.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, right, well, trying to incorporate the scoot backs. Heads touch a quarter.
Heads or sides?
Sorry, sides touch a quarter. You want sides, don't you?
I wasn't correcting it. Some people start a sides get in using a head start. You know, it's.
Well, I was gonna, yeah, that should have worked anyway. So I'll stick with the heads touch a quarter.
That's all right. I've already got sides. Go ahead.
All right then. Center scoot back. Center scoot back again. Walk and dodge. Centers. And circle to a line.
Yeah. Then what?
Okay. What are we in now? We're in partner lines, aren't we? So okay, partner line to partner line then. Past the ocean.
Yeah.
Swing through. Okay, all scoot back, one of each. 4 girls scoot back. Okay, all scoot back, one of each. And the 4 boys scoot back. Swing through. Recycle. And sweep a quarter more. Oh, sorry, you've got. I remember now. You've got to have all that in one call for examinations, haven't you? Okay, a conversion then to corner box, past the ocean. Spin chain through. Girls zoom. All scoot back, one of each. All circulate. And recycle. And a resolution then, touch a quarter. All scoot back. All circulate. All split circulate. Pull by. Boys cloverleaf and the girls slide through. Girls walk and dodge. All star through to promenade and promenade home. Bounty partner.
Okay. The one thing I really liked about that is your focus was scoot back. You did, and I'm assuming you were looking at your boy-girl scoot back as your prime. You set it up from a standard right-hand wave, boy-girl.
Right.
You did the centers scoot back, but it was the same gender scoot back. They had nowhere to go, no other options but step forward. Even if they did make the mistake with the right hand, if they went in the right hand, the center, they would fix it and adjust to finish that scoot back, and you could easily correct it with the left hand. You didn't give them a lot of room to make mistakes. You gave them a lot of room to succeed and no real options to succeed. Boy, girl, scoot back. Boom, nice. Centers, scoot back. It's a lefty, nice. You come back, recycle, sweep a quarter, not a problem. You've got your center scoot back. You've introduced that in your start. I had a little bit of an issue with the start. You notice it said bracket 16.
Right.
That's basically say heads do your part, half a grand square, sides just stand there and do nothing and wait for 16 beats of music.
Right.
Okay.
I was struggling to try and fit in a scoot
Yes.
back into the thing with.
Now, if you were doing a workshop tip and you did a circle to a line, that's where I would end it with an Alaman left or a circle left. And then I would repeat the same thing for the heads. That way they know we're focused on scoot back. You can get away with it there as a workshop tip. But as an open pattern, I would not use that. Okay. Pass the ocean, swing through, scoot back. And then that's a boy, girl. You would say that boy, girl. Girls in the center, scoot back. It's a lefty. Scoot back, boy, girl. Boys in the center, scoot back. It's a lefty. That is a nice little sequence of really good use of your focus module with a chain transition. And it really emphasizes what you're doing. You followed that with a swing through, which comes out quite well. Recycle and sweep a quarter more. There's the partner lines. Pass the ocean, spin chain through, just the girl zoom. And then you had a boy girl scoot back. Okay, not a problem with that. Timing would be a bit for the boys because the boys have a bit of a stand, but that's not a big issue because they've done a lot of flex movement with the spin chain through. The boys have been doing that cast 3/4. The girls have been standing. It's a 2-beat break, not a big issue. Recycle, that takes me to the corner box.
Do the two together so that the boys were doing the doing their spinning bit while the girls were doing the zoom, like a girl circulate twice sort of thing instead of a circulate twice.
Your spin chain through will have the dancer, the girls pretty much standing while the boys are working. That's where you do the girl zoom. That's concurrent activity. That's what you want to achieve.
Yes. Yes.
Don't walk into one or the other. Circulate, recycle, not a problem. Then you resolve. Touch a quarter, scoot back boys. Not a problem. Standard, basic, common. Everybody does that one. It's comfort the dance. Great. I've done a scoot back. Circulate, split circulate, pull by. Okay, so I've done a circulate. Now I've done a split circulate. Now I've done a pull by. I'm in a trade by position with the girls in the center. Boys cloverleaf. Girls slide through, which is basically a pass through and girls face left. Girls walk and dodge, star through, and promenade home. That circulate, split circulate can be a trouble area if the dancers are not ready for it. So there's a minor hiccup there. Pull by, okay, as opposed to step through. Again, not a big problem because the dancers expect the next action to be forward. Girls slide through. I would have done a girl's left touch quarter rather than a girl's slide through because the hand would be free. Because you've done a right hand pull by, change that to a left touch a quarter. It's not counterintuitive. A girl's slide through is a gimmick. Okay, it's a perfectly legitimate call, but it's a bit of a gimmick. If you're going to do a pull by and you want the girls to do that, say pull by girls left touch a quarter or pull by boys cloverleaf girls left touch a quarter. Get that concurrent activity where they have no option but to succeed because the hand is there for the movement and contact. That's a minor point. Then you have the girls walk and dodge, everybody star through. Okay. The only issue I would have, I think, I can't remember who was mentioning it earlier, but you want your focus movement in your get out near the end. After that star through or something like that, you've got it at the beginning, but you have 3 places in there which you've got potential trouble for the dancers to break down on the resolution. You want your resolutions to be the focus, but you don't want your resolutions to be difficult. You want them to be the wham, bang, here's my movement. Wow, I did that well. Not, oh, wow, I did that well. Now I got to really think about what I want to do before I get to my promenade. And because you did a promenade, what would happen if somebody missed the split circulate or the slide through or the girls walk and dodge? And you call promenade, you're going to have 2 couples facing in and 2 couples in promenade position.
Right.
3 facing, or you're going to have people not with their partners if they missed one of the circulates. And your next call is promenade home, and they're going to, oh, you mean muddle in the middle and get your partner and slide home rather than feel like I successfully achieved. You can change that with a pull by girls left touch a quarter and walk and dodge boys cloverleaf. Just changing that order will change the whole feel and give them a much better chance of success. And when you do that boys cloverleaf, see where you got that next is your star through.
Right.
You can do a touch a quarter, scoot back again, star through and promenade. And that way they have a full chance of success.
To emphasize on the ladies doing a slide through with each other, my wife dances C1. She's an excellent dancer, but she dances the boys' part as much as the girls' part. And the slide through is the one call that will get her in trouble every time. Because am I dancing a boy or girl? If she's facing a girl, she instantly changes over to dancing the boy's part. So that will get her in trouble. And I see Helen nodding, and there's probably a couple other girls that are going, yeah, I do the same thing. So really strongly agree with Mel on you got the only the girls working the left touch a quarter is so much more successful.
Yeah, and I would like to point out a lot of the time what you get is when you have the same-sex slide through, you have to be really, really careful because a slide through starts with a right shoulder pass and then the girls turn left. If you want them to do anything like a ladies trade or a left swing through, they have to back up to adjust that position. They will not have hand contact intuitively. So be very, very careful when you, a lot of people say, oh, it's just, you know, the boys do a right touch a quarter, the girls do a left touch a quarter. They are 2 completely different movements, especially for the ladies. God created women to dance backwards. If you don't believe me, just watch round dancers. And I'm not kidding. Women work a lot harder at square dancing than men do. They actually have about 1/3 times more movements and activity to do in a square dance than a man has. I have no idea why that is, but probably because it was written by men and we're inherently lazy. You probably heard the lawnmower going and the windows being washed while I'm on here in Zoom. That's my wife out in the yard. That's just the reality. No, it's because I'm injured. I can't do that. Malcolm, you've got some really, really interesting material in there. You've got some really good work in there. Hang on a second. Yellow. No, she's still outside doing the yard work. I'll have her give you a call when she comes in, okay? Okay, bye. Well, that's embarrassing. Okay, does anybody else have anything that you want to look at? Okay, because we've got two things here. John wanted to show a spreadsheet, and Mike, you wanted to have a talk about the different ways to use specific things.
Well, so just one comment about Malcolm's stuff, which is pretty good stuff. I have no problem with most of it, and the comments that were made were excellent comments. However, in the US, I couldn't call half of this stuff. I mean, we would have to really work on drilling the dancers so that they would do what's on here. And part of the problem in the US anyway is the distance of waves for the scoot back. We'd have to kind of work into that so that that would be smooth. If the waves are too far apart, then they kind of get lost. The when he does this, the spin chain through and the girls zoom, our dancers are so weak that sometimes they need landmarks in order to find their way. So if I were calling that, I would have to have probably worked that a little bit so that the zoom would be smooth. So when the boys are working, they've taken away those landmarks for the girls to find their position. So if they're working while you call the girls zoom, the girls may get lost here anyway. Where you are, I mean, more power to you.
That is an excellent comment. If you remember right at the beginning on the first slide, remember you're preparing these modules for your success, but also for the dancers. You're preparing for two. And part of that is knowing your dancers. And it's a fantastic comment. Remember what I said, when you're doing a theme, you want your theme to be the focus. The rest of your choreography wants to be supportive and relatively simple. So you get in, you do your theme, you get out to something they know, and you get them comfortably. If you're going to use things like spin chain through girl zoom, which may be perfectly common in your area, but if you were coming to call it Mike's Club and you didn't know, I would not use that combination. Or if I was going to use that combination, instead of having concurrent activity, that's when I would choose to go spin chain through. Boys are working, girls standing. When you get there, boys, you watch the girls. Girls zoom. You know, there would be a deliberate break, but your presentation would cover for that so that the boys are doing one thing and the girls are watching. Now the girls are doing something and the boys are watching to give them the maximum amount of success. It's an excellent comment, Mike. You really do need to know your dancers in order to succeed on this.
The other thing that was I found really interesting, because I used to do this a lot when I started and it wasn't very successful for me, but it's the idea of what I call a shift in focus. So when you call touch a quarter and scoot back, depending on how dancers are programmed in your region, they're focused upon the mini wave boxes, which are close together because you started from a column type of situation, general column type of situation. So the waves don't have as many spots in between them as they did when you called past the ocean from the lines. So when you call touch a quarter scoot back, the dancers are focused upon that mini wave box. And then when you call a circulate, right after that scoot back, they have to switch their focus, some of them anyway, to the other axis, to the wave now. And sometimes for success, you need to give them an alert that that's what's happening. And then when you do a split circulate following an 8 circulate, you shifted the focus again. So that, in my view, raises the difficulty level of this whole sequence.
Yep, and that's why there's so many stars after it.
Yeah.
That's just your resolution. And that's exactly what we're looking at. You're giving the dancers more opportunities to fail than you're giving them to succeed. Not because the movements are so difficult, but because you've taken away from the focus. You've used a couple of things which would appear to be common sense to a caller or somebody that knows the definitions, but they're not intuitive to the dancers, and you've changed how the dancers have to think. And this is exactly what he's talking about. So touch a quarter, not a problem. You've got that. You've got boys looking in. Scoot back, not a problem. Boys looking in. Circulate. Okay, I'm now changed that. Great. I'm going centers. And now split circulate. I'm now working the foursome. I've had to change how I think as a dancer from left, right, to outside, inside, to ends and centers, to centers and ends, own four centers, ends. Which way am I going? It is beautiful flow, but it's too much for what you think. That is what he's, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, this, because you've got this is good higher end choreography.
Yeah.
But it's difficult for newer dancers to watch transitions like that and think like that without having to really change their thought processes.
Yeah, in general.
Sorry, go ahead.
In general, I don't think dancers are very spatially aware, at least in the beginning. It takes a long time before they realize that they're part of both a mini wave box and an ocean wave. You know, that they have.
I would like to also comment on that, Mike. You used the term, and I corrected myself on that, in the US. I used the term in Australia. I was corrected. It's in parts, and a lot of that is dancers like to dance what dancers like to dance, and callers have to call what the dancers like to dance. The caller's job is to give them variety and innovation and build that repertoire slowly. You've got fantastic choreography here, and if you were calling for a club in the States, you could easily call this after about 4 or 5 months of calling to them, because you will have built up to the point where they can dance that. I use that in contrast because the movements that you have here, what Helen had in her choreography at the beginning was actually more difficult than what you have here. The difference was she was using basics up to the movement of Past the Ocean, nothing above Past the Ocean. All material was below that, but we're talking half sashayed, Past the Oceans, et cetera, et cetera. The dancers are spatially aware, but they also spend a year learning the basic program, another year learning the mainstream, and then 2 or 3 years of dancing basic and mainstream before they even consider thinking about plus. Whereas in certain parts of the States, in certain parts of the States, it's, hi, I'm a new dancer. Great, welcome to the plus group. We'll pull you through and we'll have you dancing at the big dance next Wednesday.
Where I was coming from with those bits, I was finding that I was getting into a constant overflow by just keeping everything in that same sort of pattern, and it was going right and right and right and right and right. And the only way I could find to actually get the change of the flow from right to left and the like was to do it in that sort of changing the patterns, if you like, to give it the variety of flow. And it was because of I was getting the overflow, and I was trying to get away from that overflow problem.
Yeah, Malcolm, actually, a lot of times we will all use what you did, but we'll separate it differently than you did. In other words, we'll have the centers scoot back. Okay, girls, scoot back and do it twice, and then do the swing through. Okay, boys, you're in the center, so lefty, scoot back twice. I mean, and that's, and like Michael said, went from left to right, right to left, and from boxes to waves, the center, you know, the outside box to the center box. So basically, you could do the boys in the center, do 2 scoot backs, similar to what your opener was, and then swing through, and then have the girls do it twice, and then do something else, and then do a normal scoot back with boys as trailers and girls as the leaders, and vice versa, doing a couple of scoot back. So you separate it, you're not having to switch from one to the other. And I think that's what everything Mike said was trying to emphasize, is that the switching the focus from the outside box to the center box. And then also when you go from that circulate after that, the center dancer facing out is going to want to go right, because they've been working with that outside box. They're not going to go left. So now you're gonna have 3 people piled up on the end out there.
Touch a quarter right, circulate right, or sorry, scoot back right, and then circulate left, and then circulate right. But for 2 of those dancers, it's right, 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 then left.
Well-
You were looking at changes of flow. I've just changed your ending. Rather than have it cross over and cross back, there's nothing wrong with doing a left hand. You've done left hand scoot backs with the centers. After your recycle, you did your circulate, recycle, okay? Left touch a quarter, scoot back girls. Girls run right and left through, slide through, there's your corner box. You've changed the flow and the direction. Remember the, we had Jerry Story was here, and Matthew Mills gave presentations on using directional symmetry. We've got that touch a quarter, all 8 circulate, boys run conversion. Left touch a quarter, all 8 circulate, girls run does the same conversion, but it changes the flow of the dancers. There's nothing wrong with doing a left touch a quarter, scoot back, it's a lefty, and then you get out of it, and it changes the flow. It breaks that transition. It keeps the dancers working together comfortably, like Mike was saying, rather than switching their focus left, right, center, everybody half left, right, by keeping it there. But it feels like they're still interacting, because the scoot back is one of those movements. Even though I'm working with 4 people, I've changed my direction. It feels like I'm working with a different 4 people, and I'm working on a different axis. But really, I've only kept those 4 people where I want them to be.
Right.
Excellent call, Rob. Rod. I keep calling you Rob for some reason. I don't know why. Okay.
Hey, can I get a shot, Mel?
John, you wanted to have a look at a spreadsheet. Okay. Now,
Yeah, how do I share a screen on this thing?
that's what I'm just about to find out. So if I do stop share, and I should have screen share. Can you?
Hosted disabled screen sharing attendee. I guess I need to have.
Okay, you should be able to share your screen now.
I think it's this one.
Oh, Mark, did you have one that you wanted to look at as well? I just saw your note there. The theme was dive through.
Can you see my spreadsheet there?
I can. Okay, so we got John's dance stuff, my modules, worksheet, magic modules.
Okay, so what this started out to be was I was going to try to gather equivalents and put them in a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
So I put all the all the calls in here for mainstream and basic, and I had them all listed. And this has been through about 45 iterations now. Then I put them on this, and then I hyperlinked them all. I can go to one of these things, and I can hyperlink back to this street, and I can go over here and hyperlink, and they're all set up the same. Then after I got into it, I started collecting some equivalents, and I got them listed in here like this, and I'm doing that, and I'm thinking I also need to do some. I want to do some call analysis, so I can go to each one of the calls, and I've got all kinds of room here to put whatever I want about whatever call is on the sheet. Then I got to thinking, well, geez, I could do that for basic and mainstream calls. I'm also do that for the all the different.
Okay,
SS and CB.
Hang on, John. Go back, because you're jumping very quickly. So under basic, you said that's a list of equivalents that you have there?
No, that's all the basic calls right there.
Okay, and so just click on wheel and deal.
So wheel and deal right here, yeah.
Okay, and what does that link me to?
Well, that is the wheel and deal sheet right there.
So you can do your calls or any modules for wheel and deal. Anything on wheel and deal is linked to that movement.
Anything on wheel and deal can go in on this page.
Okay, I'm with you. Go back.
And then I did that for all the calls, and each one of the sheets has a link back to the main thing, so I can just jump from one to the other. Then I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well do the conversion modules. So I I did all my conversion modules. It's all the same theory all the way through. And you can see all the different modules. I got them more or less set up all the same. Then I said, well, geez, this is all those conversion modules. Now I could do my modules. And this is the module I made up. This is what I made up that had all the conversion from one to the next. I thought that was something I'll stick in there. Well, I did that, and I even got a sheet set up for mental image if I ever get to that. And then the other thing is I'm doing worksheets now. So now I've got this set up. I have a worksheet index, and now I can go right down here to the worksheet I did for today, and I got a spot for notes that I can index it back to the worksheet. And if I want to go back to the main menu, I just go back to home. So my biggest thing that's really been putting me off on square dance calling and doing this is the organization. I could come up with, like Betsy was talking about, I'll find a scrap of paper here and a scrap of paper here. And I've got tons of scraps of paper that are all put together and stapled. But now when I do my work, I can just go and I can open up my worksheet, build a new worksheet for this day, and I'll put everything on the worksheet. Then I can work that, and I can come back to the home and do something else. I can spread my modules out. But organization is the key for me, and I think this works just the cats for me. I'm not sure how you guys do it, but I've got everything right on one spreadsheet. I could just keep hyperlinking to death to get more stuff. So what do you guys think?
Where I can see a lot of power in this, for instance, you've got, I don't know, half sachet as an example. When you do
and these numbers here are the call numbers.
Yeah, I know that. Well, you've got half sachet for an example. So when you populate your static square to corner box, you use a half sachet. You've got that hyperlink. So if you click on the half sachet, you're essentially going to have your singing calls with half sachet. You're going to have your corner box modules with half sachet. You're going to have that, and you've got all your movements hyperlinked back and forth. When you get this popular, I can see a lot of power in this, because you can say, right, I want to do a theme on pass to the center. You click on pass to the center. Now you've got get-ins, get-outs, modules, themes. You've got your call analysis sheet. You've got everything for every movement, and they're all hyperlinked. You'll have the same sequence in there about 6 times, because as you probably noticed by now, when you do a module, you use more than one movement in it. So that module can be used in a lot of themes. So I can definitely see a lot of power and a lot of use in this. It is a lot of work, and I'd love to see it when you get it populated.
Yeah, there's the problem. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that one you had there, where I could put a key movement, or I could click on like half sachet, or the one I just did with the folds. I could click on the folds, and it would take me to all the different modules I have that have fold in it. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, so that's another thing.
In your modules, if you type every movement, you can hyperlink it back to the module, so that, for instance, if you get a new caller that's there and says, here's a singing call, right? I can click on swing through ends cross fold. I want to look at that. You click on ends cross fold and singing call. It'll take you back to the cross fold worksheet, and it'll have the call analysis, the definition. This is how it works. This is how you set it up. And if they're hyperlinked, they'll definitely work back and forth. That is it's a hell of a project you've taken, but I can definitely see the value in it.
Yeah, the most important part is if it works for you, because everybody thinks differently. And so what's the most important thing is, if it works for you, that's what counts.
Yep. And I want to add on to that, the best system is the one that works for you. But when you get this done, I can definitely see the value in it. Please, if ever you learn anything from me, this is why I don't charge for any of these workshops or training sessions or anything else. My only price is if you're ever in a position to help a new caller out, share your knowledge, because for too long, we had too many callers hoarded all their material because they were afraid of competition. Well, doing that only meant that we have less dancers to compete against. If you share your material, share your wealth, share your knowledge, and develop it with other people, we're going to get more dancers, we're going to have more room, and we're going to have more dancers and not enough callers, which would definitely be a nice thing to have these days. Guido, I saw you nodding your head in the background. What do you think about it? Because you do a lot of work with spreadsheets and call analysis sheets.
Yeah, but not in this way. I think a spreadsheet like this is very distracting on stage. You can't use it.
Well, I would pull out what I want for the stage and then take that. I wouldn't take the spreadsheet. No, this is just my home base operation. I wouldn't take this to the.
I would emphasize on what Rod just said. If you read my articles, and whenever I say something, one of the most used sentences is, I do this because I'm comfortable with it. I do it for me.
Yeah.
I tell you what I'm doing. I do it for me. You don't have to follow, but it might give you a hint of what you could do. I never say you must do it that way. I say, I do that for me.
And you're still in the development stage, which is good, John, because on any database, especially an Excel database or an Access type database, the hardest work is in setting it up at the beginning, because that way you don't have to fix it after the fact. With what Guido was saying, you could even take that database and just have another window, which is prepared tips. And you can go through your bang, bang, bang. You could prepare a sheet. You could put in that cue sheet just as another link, prepared bracket. You prepare an evening and open it up to a new sheet, save that worksheet, and you've got the whole thing prepared. It's all in there. You've got a lot of work in there, and there's a lot of really good ideas in there. But as Guido and Rod say, the best, if that works for you, go for it. Fill it in and work it. And when it's done, share it. I will definitely be willing to have a look at that, because I'm more than willing to research other ideas into my repertoire always.
All right. Well, that was just a thought I had. I thought maybe you might be interested, but it's about time for me to leave too.
No. Mark, you wanted to look at something, I believe.
My mic on?
Yep, you're on.
Okay. Hey, John.
What?
You know how they were saying that half sachet and like put it in there, all the modules that would work that have half sachet in it?
Yeah.
My suggestion would be, I like how you got the numbers for what call they are.
Yeah.
Have them when you have the modules in on like that half sachet piece, a page, have the numbers in there too. So like if you're teaching a class and you're finally getting to teach them half sachet, you can look at the modules in there and say, oh, well, I can't use this module because it's got a higher number than half sachet, and they don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a work in progress. That's just as far as I've progressed so far. So
I like it.
Some good suggestions. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye, John.
Now, Mark, did you want to have a look at this?
That's basically what I do with my handy capables when I'm teaching them dive through.
Okay. So you got square through.
I pasted it in a message to you.
Right,
oh, you already got
through, dive through, center square through 3. Yep.
And you see down a little bit where it says circle left half.
Yep.
I couldn't figure out how to get Tamnations to do a circle left half, so I had it do a right and left through.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
But in the class, I have them do a circle left halfway.
Now, this is one of the nuances of adapting to your dancers. Do you have wheelchair dancers?
No, I don't have no wheelchair dancers.
With that, this is another one of those center square through 3 to a right and left through. Something to be aware of.
Mark, I used via left, wheel and deal.
Right and left through, dive through, centers pass through. Yep. Right and left through, dive through. Okay, and then this is where you did the circle half, which is essentially just the right and left through. Yep. And centers pass through. and a half chicken plucker, right and left through, dive through, centers pass through, Alaman left. Okay. Good. This, if Daryl Clendenin was here, he would probably be applauding you like crazy. This is essentially a sequence of modules that follow what is known as the basic traffic pattern, which is your traffic pattern flow. If you watch these dancers, they're going from one side to the other side, back around. They're keeping a linear axis. This is the basic traffic pattern that was pretty much the foundation of square dance calling before we started getting into the technicalities and the more developed programs and everything else. It is a nice little sequence. Yours is for handicapables. This would also work with wheelchair dancers. The timing on this is 87, so I imagine you're probably looking at patter. If you did a singing call, you'd be looking at probably up to that half chicken plucker, and then take your corner promenade. Would that be about right?
Yeah, we really don't do singing calls very often.
Okay, I don't know. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, that works fine. And this is very much like what Helen was saying. She's adapted her choreography for her group. She has limitations on material. You have limitations on dancer capability. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just be aware of, even though they're handy capable, good body flow is essential. And you'll find that they will adapt to it much more easy. They will do exactly what you tell them to do, and most times like it. But even for somebody that has autism, one of my ex-wives had 2 children with, one of them had autism. Right hand to right hand, that kinesthetic action of smooth dancing really works well for children with autism, children with Down syndrome, and various other things as well. So be aware of body flow. Square through 3 to a right and left through, bit awkward, right hand to right hand.
So I could change that then and put the right.
Have they done a star through?
Yeah, they've done start through.
Okay, so your head square through, you could do star through, right and left through, because the hands are down, and then another star through, pass through. You can do a star through, right and left through. You can do a right and left through, star through, pass through. You know, you have no idea. From the look on your face, you have no idea what I'm saying.
I'm looking up at my screen to see the words there.
You could also start through and half square through instead of the square through 3.
Okay, so that's your star through, square through 3. That's where you want to get to. In other words, their partner trade. You can do a circle half pass, or you can do a right and left through and pass through. You can do a where am I? Somebody said you can do a star through, square through 2.
Well, it'd be better to slide through, but
My handicapables don't do slide through.
Okay. So you've done all of these things. You can also do, if you really want to get them going here, that will feel so much different. And yet it works so beautifully. Yes, John.
Yeah, Mel. When you're dive through, working with a lot of our seniors, I like using the centers pass to the center rather than the dive through, because they don't have to raise the arms up, and it's so much easier for them.
Yep, a lot of callers do. A lot of callers also use partner trade instead of California twirl, and they use slide through instead of star through for that reason.
Right.
When I learned to dance, and I know a few other places, we were taught, because dancers are old, dancers are young, dancers are short, dancers are tall. Part of the styling was you make the hand contact, you start by raising the arms. If you're uncomfortable raising the arms, let the hand go,
Right.
rejoin it after they passed you and finish it. Touch the hand and then do it with the part and trade, but the hand in a slightly up position, and then bring it back down. One of the things that happens is styling is not taught that much anymore. And definitions, a good example, pass the ocean, extend, slide through as an example. Let's just have a look at that. Okay, now a discussion came up that was very uncomfortable for the ladies, but it's quite danceable. Whereas, here's one. That feels like a lot of left-hand turns.
Yeah.
And why? Because, oh, well, pass the ocean is a left touch a quarter for the girls.
All right.
Now, I'm opening this up as an argument right now. Is pass the ocean a left touch a quarter for the right-hand dancer? Or is it
No.
pass through, face your partner, step to a wave?
Yes.
Yes to what? One? First one, last one, or both?
Last one.
Both. You said it. The first question was, is it a left touch a quarter for the right-hand dancer? Answer, no. And you said, is it pass through, quarter in, step? Yes.
Okay, now here's my thing. There is no definition for pass the ocean. There is a dance action, which is facing couples, pass through, face your partner, step to a right-hand ocean wave. Part of dance action and part of definitions used to be styling. In the styling, in the Color Lab definition, it says dancers on the right-hand side will effectively move forward, touching the left hand with the crossed palms and doing a single hinge with hand contact. That's written into the styling as part of the current definition of pass the ocean. So are we teaching the definition, pass through, face, make an ocean wave? Are we teaching the styling as part of the definition? Or are we teaching a dance action based on how the dancers dance it? And this is what I mean about traps and treasures. If you dance teaching styling, they say the ladies, but it is actually the right-hand dancer. Now, why would the boys not do it with a left hand making contact? Because it's too hard for the boys to think that way is the reason, once they're half sashayed. But the reality is both are absolutely correct by the dance action as written in the Color Lab guidelines and the dance guidelines and the definitions. The styling is part of that. This is where we have things that are an anathema. We hear this comment, my dancers can't do that. My dancers don't do that this way in here, or we don't dance wheel around. Oh, they can't do this because of that. 99% of the time it's because we didn't take the time to teach dancers how to dance and have fun dancing with a little bit of material in the goal to get them with a lot of material so that we as callers could look good, because it's a lot easier to call with a lot of material than it is to call with only a little bit of material.
I think the reality is there is no ideal, and there really is no standard. What we have is
that I wouldn't say. There is a standard, and that standard is Color Lab.
Well, I've talked to
always be correct, and that part, you know, that's a whole argument that we'll need about 60 hours of straight argument and debate just to get through that one. But there is a standard. It is written as a standard. It is the guideline that everybody around the world is supposed to be following or should be following. It is not always correct. There are ways of correcting it, and I've seen corrections.
I believe really what it is it's sort of a dictionary of jargon. Well, you were just explaining there is no definition. There's a dance action, and then they're putting some.
I use that specifically for the terminology. It used to say definition. If I go to, hang on one second here, I gotta move this Christmas. Helen put the Christmas tree.
And I checked on it just to make sure you were right.
What, have you got it open there?
Yeah, he's right.
I just pulled it up. I've got it on the computer.
Yeah, he's
What-
right.
What does it say?
It says dance action.
Yeah. So if I go.
Well, and the styling part also says what you said, with the right hand dancer is basically touch hand and turn by the left. But my point is, I've spoken to many callers with this, including Clark Baker, who is the guy that is in charge of the mainstream definition stuff.
Yeah,
And
well, hang on a second, Mike. One of the reasons I wanted to point that out is because I've just pulled up this book here, which is the old Caller Teacher's Manual.
yeah,
This is from 1982. And this is Caller Lab. These are the standards that you follow. This was a very controversial book because it said at that time, we want the dancers to learn basic and mainstream, but it takes too long. So we're going to shorten the program to something that the dancers can do that is reasonable for the dancers to dance, so they're not taking classes. So they shortened the basic and the mainstream program together to be a one-year program down to 86 hours of class teaching time. That's what it was shortened to. And that was a controversial thing. And at that time, it said, pass the ocean definition in bold. Dancers pass through, turn in to face the partner, and step to a right-hand wave. And under styling, it says couples who pass through and face partner use similar styling to that described in pass through. There's nothing about hand contact when it was a definition. Now it's called dance action. And that's because of what we have in the Caller Lab rules and conventions, which is also a document that very few callers read. These things get modified and adapted for dancers, because some dancers do it that way, some dancers don't. I will say that they get modified primarily because the people that are modifying it, there's very little outside of the US influence because it's too difficult to get to Caller Lab and all that other kind of stuff. So this is why there's such a discrepancy in areas. It's just something to be aware of. Go ahead, Mike.
well, it's kind of like a dictionary too. When enough improper usage is put out there, what they do is they just add that improper usage or slang into the dictionary and it becomes a word.
Yeah. Like
So the art is a good example. So the art is kind of a living kind of art. But yep. I mean, what they did with Extend in this last revision goes against everything that I knew about Extend the tag for many years. They just basically broke it, if you ask me. But now,
well, what they did was they normalized it to one program, 1/4, half, 3/4, full.
Well, no, they basically got rid of the idea that an extend moves from a tag position to another tag position. And now they're including certain distorted single quarter tag formations where outside dancers are facing the backs of center dancers rather than facing the handhold of a mini wave. So they basically just widened the definition to include all kinds of improper usage that was going on.
Well, a mini wave extend is not a problem.
No, that goes from a tag from one tag position to another.
An ocean wave extend takes you to a 3/4 tag position, which is not a problem.
That's right.
But when you get into distorted issues,
like what we were talking about before with John Z type of thing, the way that it's defined now, you could call extend and be perfectly fine.
Yes.
But that wasn't the way it used to be.
No. And well, actually extend extend, that falls into the dancer's convention because that's intuitive for the dancers to take that kind of a flow and that kind of an action. We have this discussion when we're doing the choreography behind the mic because there's a lot of material that's pulled from material from the 70s and the early 80s, which is perfectly danceable and the dancers will do it, but it no longer meets what the definitions or dance actions are, even though the dancers would do that probably 100% of the time because they know what's expected of them and what they should do.
When did they change that definition of extend?
The last iteration. So let's see, it's February 22, 2020 was the publication.
Thank you.
On the backing up to the Pass the Ocean though, when we talk about the left touch a quarter part, I find I really have a problem with that, because if you are normal couples and the girls are always doing a left touch a quarter, the minute you do a sachet or you put 4 ladies together, they're all going to do a left touch a quarter, and you're going to have a box instead of an ocean wave. And so it really leads to improper teaching. Whereas, like I say, if you pass through and face your partner, it doesn't matter who your partner was, so long as, in fact, I make a joke about it. Hey guys, who's your temporary partner? We all have to have our TP. And so pass through and face your TP and step to the wave. So you don't build to the wrong things.
Yeah. Have you got the styling written there in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
Can you read out the styling for Pass the Ocean?
The 3-part definition is smoothed out. The left side dancers walk in a forward arc to the right to their ending position. The right side dancers walk forward to join left hands, hands up styling, and turn 1/4 with each other.
Yeah. Now, to me, if that was done properly, it would be forward, turn left, and then join hands, hands up. The order that, to me, is wrong. And
No,
I agree with you. Pass through, face your partner, step to a wave. The styling and the joining of the hands as you pass, that's something that can happen. But a while back, it was the ladies will do a left touch, the ladies will join hands and do the hinge into the ocean wave. And it was asked, well, why is it the ladies will do that? And this goes right into rise. Well, that's the way it's usually done. Well, no, that's the way it's usually done by somebody that doesn't do pass the ocean from the half sachet formation, or do a pass the ocean with 4 boys. So they've changed it to right hand and left hand, but changing the words does not change the fact that no matter if we wrote these definitions perfectly, it doesn't matter. What matters is if they are perfect, people have to use them, and they have to use them properly and fully so that the dancers get the best. And we as callers can't even agree, in the same state or in the same province in Canada as to what we want to do collectively and how we want to apply these. There's no way we're going to agree globally how we're going to apply these.
And that's why I just don't think it's a standard. I mean, it's a set of guidelines. In an engineering context, if you have a standard, there should be no possible way to misinterpret it.
Yeah, well, I look at Color Lab definitions are like a 10mm socket. And for those of you that have ever worked on something, a 10mm socket fits a 10mm nut. It is used to tighten or loosen a 10mm nut. It has one specific purpose, and it's applied one specific way. You need tools to use a 10mm socket, but the 10mm socket doesn't change. However, the 10mm socket is the one that always goes missing out of the toolbox, and is replaced by the vice grips, by the pair of pliers, by the squeeze, by the monkey wrench, by the ratchet wrench. And that sums up Color Lab definitions right there.
I think
Color
so.
Lab definitions is a 10mm socket. Collars are everything because we've misplaced the 10mm socket.
Yep, that's a good analogy.
Let me add something to the extent before. Extent was written in 1972.
Thanks for coming in, Rod.
Thank you.
Extent was written in 1972 by Jim Davis.
Yeah.
And the definition we have now is back to the one of 1972.
Yep.
So there is no change in the definition. It was just separated in around 1988 or something, that extend the tag from a quarter tag was basic. And in 1988, extend the tag was renamed extend.
Yeah, I understand that fully, Guido. And the best example I could give on that is I had a good friend of mine who was married 4 times. He got married, and then he got divorced. He married another woman, got divorced, married another woman, got divorced. Then he married his first wife again, and he's happy. Doesn't mean he was wrong all the time.
No. And all the time he had a wife.
John, you had something you wanted to say earlier. John Casey.
No, not particularly.
Oh, I thought you had something there. Right. Well, we've got a few people hanging on. I hope for those of you that are here, you found these exercises worthwhile. Mark, if you're still there, I don't know yet. You're still there. Good. Thank you very much. I don't know if you're still recording or not.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I just realized we've
stopping it though.
I actually
digressed
found
in and out of a lot of things. Go ahead, Mike.
I actually found the exercise to be quite helpful. I don't theme well, and this is really good to kind of make the thoughts all cohesive.
Yeah, well, what we've done is for the last almost 11 months now, we've looked at color development from the base principles of the definitions to formation management, to putting sequences together, what flows, flow modules, understanding the concepts of the 5 foundation modules, building on that, then putting sequences together. We've talked about singles, how this whole package works together. Now it's for a new caller, preparing for that tip. And there's so much information. Now, I kid you not, the last 10 months we've done, some of these sessions, and some of these have actually gone on for 11 hours of discussion afterwards, is really 2 days of a caller's weekend workshop. That's how much material we've started, and we've only just touched the surface. But if you attend a caller school, or Mike Sikorsky, Wade Driver, Tony Oxendine, Ken Rutuzzi, any of these people will tell you, you get this wealth of material, you get the basis of the material, you get a little bit of discussion, and the onus of responsibility is on you to take it home and figure out what it means and how to best use it, and then come back for a little bit of assistance and peer review. That's what we've done. We've done 10 months of training, which is basically the 6 one-hour sessions that you get in a caller school over a 10-month period. We've just scratched the surface, and now we're putting it together in a practical application exercise. This is why it's very important that peers review peers. And I'm hoping that we can get more new dancers to get up and say, hey, here's what I'm putting forward, but also, ooh, why does that not work? Why doesn't that work? Oh, this is what I do. Oh, that could be replaced by this. And by doing that, you begin to help and associate yourself with the movements and with each other. And you find things that will work best for you. And as was said earlier, what works best for you is what's right. How I do it may not be how you do it, and vice versa. But the base foundations and the base techniques are the same for everybody. So if I give you a hammer, a nail, some wood, and some paint, and say, go, 5 people are going to build things differently. And it's like we had 2 people using ends cross fold, or cross fold as the movement.
Yeah.
We had completely different choreography from both of them, but they both used the same movements. That's how it's.
I did the cross fold also. I didn't want to take up their time with it. But
do you want to put yours up and have a look at it?
We can, but be brutal.
It's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's share screen here.
Hey, by the way, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember or not, but you seen my thing that he put up for all the dive-throughs?
Yeah.
Basically all chicken plucker?
Yep.
You know who that's thanks to, right?
I don't want to know.
That was to you.
Yeah, thanks.
And it worked for me, and I was able to keep them going on the floor with it.
Yeah, very good.
Cross fold, Mike?
Yeah, cross fold is the focus movement.
Okay. You may get into a corner box.
Past the ocean.
Ooh.
It doesn't matter. Heads or sides. Extend and hinge. Girls run. Pass through. Ends cross fold. Now here, depending on whether I want to mess with the dancers a little bit.
Not a corner box.
I know, but from here, depending on whether I want to mess with the dancers a little bit, I would either call dive through or pass to the center. So whatever you want, dive through. Okay.
What do you want after that?
Am I out of secret? I'm out of, oh, this was not a corner box. This was this was a across the street box. Anyway, centers, left or right turn through.
Okay, we're still not in the corner box. We're in RBO.
Yeah, that's why I said it was a RBO rather than a
That's
corner
not a
box, but that's all right. So if you want the corner box, then
No, that's all right.
just do half a chicken plucker. So what are we doing now?
Okay, there's your corner box.
Okay.
I just changed it to RBO instead of corner box, so I copied and pasted.
Sure. No worries.
Okay, so corner box to corner box.
Corner box here. Okay. Star through. Pass through. Ends cross fold. Split the outsides, go around one to a line. Star through. Centers pass through.
Corner box to partner line.
To partner line?
Yep. Do you have one prepared?
Yep. Okay. Left touch a quarter. Ends circulate. Centers run. Bend the line. Pass through. Ends cross fold. Star through.
And a partner line to resolution.
Pass the ocean. Girls trade. Leaders run. Pass through. Girls cross fold. Any way you're facing, Grant. Or you could do touch quarter, scoot back to a right and left, Grant.
Much better. Okay. So we got a theme of cross fold. Let's just slow this down fast to normal. Heads past the ocean, extend, single hinge, girl run around the boy, pass through, ends cross fold. That flows really, really well. I put a double asterisk around the next movement, which was dive through. Why?
Because of the, I said if you want to mess with the dancers a little bit.
I have absolutely no problem with this. Insides arch, dive through, don't fix it. You'd have to prompt the dancers. You said a lot of time in my area, the dancers wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
If they can do this, they should be able to do that. I personally also like doing circle to a line with the center's half sachet. Keeps the boys in the center and girls on the end of the line. But it all depends on what's in your area. This might be common in your area. Dive through, followed by a center's turn through or a left turn through, depending on which hand you want to have free. and it's in a normal right-hand lady box or an RDO right-hand box out of sequence.
Right. So I would substitute pass to the center if I was calling mainstream and I didn't want to mess with the dancers.
I think a dive through would be absolutely perfect.
It is.
It would make them think. A standard chicken plucker or half chicken plucker, square through 3, trade by takes me to my corner box. And notice I'm in a side square through quadrant. I've not only changed the aspect of heads working, but now we're into a sides working. It's an invert flow for the dancers because they're now facing head walls rather than facing side walls, which is really, really good. Okay, so we go from there. Star through, just be aware you're starting with a right hand free movement. Boys have to have the right hand free, girls have to have the left hand free, starting a sequence with a star through. If you don't, you can always change that to a slide through. Pass through, ends cross fold, split the outside 2. That actually works. Most people would say that wouldn't work very well, but that actually works well because when you do the cross fold, they're moving towards the outside already. If you call the split, just as they're about to get there, they're just going to move forward and that will flow absolutely brilliantly. Separate around 1, star through, and the centers pass through, which is good. That gives the outsides time to sit and make a static formation and brings all the dancers back into perspective of where they were at. They've got an aiming point and comfort with the dancers. Left touch a quarter, change of aspect. This says something's going to be a bit different. I'm going in a different direction, and there is no difficult choreography here, which is good. End circulate. Set. I've got same sexes, centers run, bend the line. That feels different. I've not only started with a left-hand flow, I'm now dancing boy, boy, girl, girl. I need to get out of this and get something normal. I'm not using any weird and funky material. Pass through, ends, cross, fold, and star through. Beautiful exit out of that, uses the feature material, and it puts you right into a normalized formation and a partner line. The partner line resolve, again, pass the ocean forward, no hands start, ladies trade, leaders run. I put double star throughs there. If your dancers are not comfortable with who's leaders and who's trailers,
I'd say out facers or something.
Out facers run, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, pass through, girls cross fold. I had the girls on the end of the line. That's another one that really, really works well. And you can also do it. You can do a girls cross fold, swing your partner, or to say any way, right and left grand, or touch a quarter, scoot back to a right and left grand, and away they go.
You also, from that position, had star through, half couple circulate, bend the line, and you were home. Or all different kinds of get outs that you could use.
Any of those partner combinations will work quite well. Copy, and we'll paste that into the chat so that it's there. I don't know if you get the chat when you post these, Mark.
No, I haven't ever done the chats.
Okay, well, it's there in the chat if anybody wants it. That's some really nice sequences. That's using the feature movement quite well. You've got a couple of little things. The dive through is a bit gimmicky, but you get into it and out of it very quickly. I have no problem. And your use of the movements are very, very standard. There's not a lot of dancer adjustment that's needed for it, which is really, really nice. You're using ends or centers. No problem with that at all.
Yeah, Mel.
Yes, John.
Yeah, when I record at home and I do the when it records and onto the computer, all the chat comes up as a text document.
Yeah. Yeah. The only ones that probably wouldn't come up are private chats between individuals.
That's right.
But the public chat should be there. That's why I post into the public chat. Right. Mike, you talked about the terminology that we have, corner box out of sequence, etc.
Yeah.
All right, did you want to put something together to talk about that and why we call them that and what the pros and the cons are? You and I are a bit of a different opinion on why we call them what they are. My opinion is we call them that because that's what was collectively agreed upon as the standard for now, because standards do change. So that's what we should all be using, whether they're right or wrong. But I wouldn't mind seeing something on understanding what they are and why they're called that way. For instance, a right-hand box or a right-hand lady box, as opposed to a right-hand box out of sequence, are two very different things, because you could be in lines and still be in right-hand lady boxes.
Yeah, well, I don't know who to talk to, because if I talk to 3 or 4 different caller coaches, I'll get 3 or 4 different answers. And
that's the whole point of doing a presentation. That's why I said right at the beginning.
So
you could
so
say
any
0 box, box 1 4, 1 2
Yeah.
box.
anything I present would be using my own logic, and I don't know if that's helpful. But
Well,
you know, if we have a corner box, everyone, the phaser is, the formation is a chain through.
Yep.
Arrangement is normal couples. Sequence is in sequence. And the relationship should be corner. Everybody is looking at their corner. The key is that corner box is all in sequence.
Yeah.
And everyone is looking at their corner. Now, so what they've done is they've dubbed this a CB, a corner box. Now, if you do a right and left through from here, we change the sequence, and so it now becomes a CBO, corner box out of sequence. And I have no problem with this kind of thing, what they're doing. That's fine. But what I have a problem with is that if we say that this is a corner box and the other one is a corner box as well, now we have opened up the door for confusion. So that's just kind of where I come from with it. So anyway, that relationship box right there, the one we had, the corner box, from here, let's see, let's do a right and left through from here.
What would you call that? Would that not be a corner box as well?
That's a corner line out of sequence.
That's a corner line out of sequence.
Yeah, so they call that a CLO.
Yeah, and this is where my term, I like when we use these terms, the terms that are used in Color Lab as fixed terms, they describe a very specific FASR.
Phaser, yeah.
And when we talk about a right-hand lady box, what we're talking about is a grouping. So this is a corner grouping. This happens to be a corner line, and it is out of sequence.
Yeah, they call this a CLO.
That describes the phasar.
Right. Now, if you pass through and bend the line, you get a corner, or right and left through, you get a corner line in sequence, such as the CL.
Yep.
Now you can use your conversion module.
Yep.
Touch a quarter, circulate, boys run. And this is exact same phaser as the corner box, with the exception of the relationship.
Yeah, and that's now changed to an opposite box.
That's right, opposite lady box. So they would call it an OB. And then if you did a slide through, this is an OL.
Yep.
Right, and the same old thing for the rest of it. You slide through from here, you get OLO, or I mean an OBO, and all that kind of junk.
And I think, you know, even a session on understanding what these are and what they mean, because I mean, it is quite valuable, especially for new callers.
So I was working on that presentation I told you I had done, and I was trying to tighten it up and write a handout. And I was going to talk about technical zeros, but what I ended up doing is like square mechanics and group theory. If you're interested in that, it could, you know, I could do that. But it's.
I'm always willing to have anything you want to present. You know that. So, for instance, if I
Mel, I have a. Oh.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Well, I didn't do what your homework was or whatever it was, because I'm not on Facebook enough to find out early enough. But I do have a routine that I would love to run by you. But let me preface that by saying the group that I've been working with, the group of dancers, we have been learning like split circulates and everything. And the next time we do our gathering, we'll be working on Zoom. And this routine that I want to run by you is kind of like the final leading up before the singing call, which does a center 4 box Zoom. And so what I've done is when I write my routine that does it, I look at doing Zoom from all the different formations, because each time they do it, like we started with the simple normal double pass through, and they do the Zoom, which is where everybody starts. And then each time I do the patter, it got a little bit harder. So this would be like the end one where they dance it from every position.
Yeah. We will do that in just a second. I think it's a great idea.
As a new caller, the part that I didn't like about all the names was there's too many different ones for the same thing.
Yeah, so that came about from different writers. Nobody, basically got together on it. Bill Peters was calling corner boxes box 1-4s or box 1-2s or 2-1s. And he was calling 0 lines or partner lines 1P, 2P or 2P, 1P. And he had a reason for it, and he explained it. And then Bill Davis had a completely different system that explained all of the setups.
Well, the reason was like this is a partner line.
Yeah.
Partner line is, but this is if you were describing it specifically. And like I said, these were designed, all these nomenclatures are designed for one purpose, and that is so one caller can talk to another caller and know what that person. In Bill's system, this would be a 4P, 1P line, because it's 4-man with partner, 1-man with partner, which is a partner line in sequence. If I had 1 and 2 here, that would be a 1P, 2P line. It's still a
Just
partner
bend the
line.
line. Yeah.
It just tells you exactly what is where. And this is where all these things come in. When you get a 5, you get a different system. When you get a 0 or you get a half, that's just a half sashayed relationship, and who's, all these other kinds of things that come into it. And that's why they got confusing, but it was a system that he used that he could understand, that he taught with. So he could say, if I'm in a 5-1 LP, everybody, all the dancers, a 5L 1/2 P, all the dancers would know, all the callers would know exactly what formation he was talking about. For somebody today that has never used that system, they'd go, I have no idea what you're talking about. And this is what I'm saying. As long as you understand each other, if I say a head square through box, great, you know what you're talking about. If I say a sides lead to the right line, a sides lead to the right circle to a line, I'm in this formation. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, just one thing before we get to that, Janet. I just wanted to show this. This is something that a lot of callers don't realize, but when you work modules, if I just use the foundation module here for the conversion, but if you use conversion modules, you can get into a right-hand lady box, use a corner box to partner line module, and then just call right and left through, and vice versa. The right and left through will take you from a right-hand box, use that module, convert it to a partner line, your corner box to partner line module, and call right and left through, and it sorts it out. It takes it to a partner line. It's just something you can also use to add a little bit of variety into your calling. Janet, let's have your sequence. Your focus.
Okay, and the other thing, when I'm going to do this with them, I'm going to do it twice, once for the heads and once for the sides, but I figured I'd just do it once here. So head star through, zoom,
yep,
zoom, double pass through, zoom, zoom, ends partner trade, swing through, ends zoom, swing through.
Oh, thank God you didn't say center Zoom.
And Zoom.
It is a legal call, but it's a very, very bad choice. I thought it was coming.
Right and left through. Face in. Touch 1/4. Zoom. Split circulate. Center zoom. Everybody zoom. All circulate. Center zoom.
Actually, no, we'll go that.
All split circulate. Girls, you turn back. Centers veer to left. Bend the line and everybody should be home.
Okay. I have a few issues. This is, are the dancers just learning Zoom?
No, basically each time we get together, I have a call that we work on. They're all like, some of them are plus dancers, some of them are mainstream dancers that had just finished lessons prior to COVID. Some of them are advanced dancers. But the idea is we are learning to dance. And by that, I mean, we're learning to dance half sashayed. We're learning to dance boy, boy, girl, girl. Some of them they've gone through and learned the other parts, but they've never had a chance to practice it. So I allow them to be either gender that they want to be that particular time. And so we are just, and this will be the final thing of the evening where we just run through all the Zooms from all the, because each tip.
Is this going to be the last tip of the evening?
Yes, this would be. Okay.
I wouldn't do that as the last tip. What you have material in here. Essentially what you're saying is you've got an evening dance with a group of people. With the material that you have just in this sequence and working with the sequence, you could fill an entire evening with the focus on Zoom. Not just one tip. The material that you have in there is very, very complex for one tip.